If you look closely at the whole city wall, there are no more than 100 people. They can only guard the edge of the city wall. They are really weak. As the army of Yenbei City got closer and closer, the deputy general turned angry and looked at the general guarding the city. Of course, these were just their self-appointed officials. General, they have reached the base of the city wall. Shall we open the gate and let some people go out to fight, or? The man who was called the general wore a suit of armor, but he didn't wear a helmet. He was square-mouthed and broad-nosed, but his face was still calm. As for us, we don't want to open the city gate for death. Let's hurry up and ask someone to get the pepper noodles prepared before, as well as the raw oil and torches. We can't forget any of them. I don't believe it. It's not enough for them to drink a pot, yes. Mo Shanghua's eyes didn't react to the city wall. He didn't even use the archery technique commonly used in marching and fighting. So he let the army fight all the way to the city wall, and his face suddenly changed. No way. No. A word of flour on the street just took off. Mo Zhang's face on one side also suddenly changed, and their voices suddenly overlapped. Yan Beiqing looked at them with an unidentified face. What's wrong? Isn't it full of momentum? Having said that, there was no fluctuation in the bottom of his eyes, as if it had been expected for him. Mo Shenghua and Ma Jiang both turned their eyes and looked at each other. Sure enough, they saw almost the same look on the opposite side, but only for a moment, they withdrew their eyes. Mo Shanghua's eyes turned to some soldiers who had already arrived under the city wall, and his face was slightly worried. It's too smooth. I'm afraid I've got the plan to invite you into the urn. At that time, some soldiers had built the ladder on the wall, and climbed along the ladder to the people of the wall. However, just after they poked their heads over the wall, the soldiers scattered the chili powder sealed in sacks from their side. Although the soldier who just climbed up was on guard, it was the first time that he saw this way. He was caught off guard, covered his eyes and cried bitterly. He could not even hold the sword in his hand. The soldiers of the rebellion army took advantage of this opportunity to mend their swords. Even if they screamed and fell down the ladder, and the city wall more than 10 meters high, some of them didn't have to wait for the army to mend their swords. As a result, most of them died in pieces. Unfortunately, some of them would fall down several people. What's more, they would be killed because there are so many generals, they accidentally step on the fallen people and die. No one expected that the enemy would make such a number of shady, for a time, countless casualties. Fortunately, Wang's deputy general, who led them, was not stupid. He immediately asked him to adjust his strategy. When he was about to climb the ladder, he threw his sword out and killed the man who wanted to do the same thing on the edge of the city wall. Seeing that this method was not easy to use, the army poured oil along the ladder, and then set fire to it. In this way, the soldiers on this side of Yan Beiqing were caught off guard, and they were killed and injured again. At the beginning, it was so disadvantageous. So many people were killed and injured that it was too late for the soldiers in charge of rescuing people to bring them back. For a moment, the momentum in the army was greatly reduced, and it was difficult for the war drums to call back the low momentum again. Although Mo Jiang and others were far away, they could see some situations clearly, especially Mo Jiang. When they looked here, they could not help but say, "Lord, the situation is not good at the moment. Please order that the last general be allowed to preside over it." Yan Beiqing looked at Mo Jiang's face, and saw that he didn't wrinkle tightly. His eyes were full of anxiety. He wanted to go forward immediately and waved, "General Mo, go quickly." Yes. Mo Jiang got Yan Beiqing's life, almost non-stop took the whip in his hand, whipped the horse's ass, and drove the horse to run forward at a high speed. Mo Shanghua has been frowning at the situation in front of her, and the soldiers who have been brought back from the front are seriously injured. Their brows are even tighter. This is the result of Yan Mo Liao? It seems that he can do everything in order to achieve his goal. Thinking about it, she suddenly felt that her back was like a thorn in the back. She was very uncomfortable. She was alert. She glanced at the two strikers who had been following her and Yan Beiqing. Although the flowers on the street are so casual, they look back and look forward to the war situation without strabismus. Mo Shanghua sneers in her heart. If she just doubts, now she can be sure that Yan Mo Li sent them to supervise her. But she didn't attack immediately. She just looked at the war for a long time. She turned her head and said, "The war ahead is so bad. There are countless deaths and injuries, and there are not enough military doctors. Lord, I really can't bear so many patients to die in vain. I hope you will allow me to come forward to help. If you can save one, you can save another." Before Yan Beiqing said anything, one of the pioneers behind suddenly changed his eyes and said, "The princess is the body of thousands of gold. She has been in the army for many days, and has been extremely wronged. The ordinary military doctors are doomed to death. It's extremely dangerous. How can you go there?" Another forward saw this and echoed, "Yes, princess, this is absolutely impossible. The flower head on the road also does not return. The vision is firm. My intention has decided." At that time, Yan Beiqing just looked back at Xiangma Shanghua. His face was full of disapproval, and he was still a bit angry. "Nonsense! How can I let you take such a risk? No, I'm determined not to." One of the strikers obviously relaxed a little. The flowers on the street saw this. The faint light in their eyes flickered slightly, and their faces were blocked by their necks. They were particularly stubborn. "Can't you let me watch these people die? Wang Yi, I'm a doctor. I'm kind-hearted. I can't just watch others die." Yan Beiqing was speechless for a long time, and then he saw his eyes move, as if he had thought out a solution. You and the two of you, go up and help, bring the wounded back, let the princess see, and then send them to the rear." In addition to the two strikers, he also left hundreds of people to protect him. Therefore, he directly followed a few of them, including the two strikers. "Deputy Commander, this. That's fine. Just now also emotional Mo Shanghua, but at the moment just a little thought will gladly accept, even the chance to speak do not give the two strikers." At this point, the two forwards looked at each other for a long time, but none of them moved. After a long time, one of them said, "Deputy Commander, we are sent to help Your Highness, not ordinary soldiers. How can we do such a thing and ask the Deputy Commander to take back his life?" Yan Beiqing touched his nose and looked at them innocently. "But this is what I want you to help. Why don't you listen to me? I'm a woman, but I know that military orders are like mountains. If I disobey them, I have to deal with them by military law." Although they were not willing to accept it, they were afraid of the appearance of Yan Beiqing, so they had to get off the horse. They carried a stretcher, and rushed into the front camp with the other two. At this time, as soon as Mo Jiang arrived at the foot of the city wall, he took a close look at the current situation, quickly adjusted his new tactics, and pulled back the ladder. As for the burnt one, there was no way. The previous catapult was afraid of injuring the soldiers climbing the ladder by mistake. At this time, Mo Jiang transferred all the people back to control the catapult with all his strength. One by one he ran to move 2 palm-sized big blue stones, and smash them to the north of the city. In this way, the method of insurrecting the army is of no use, and the casualties on Ma Jiang's side are naturally reduced. Although the casualties were small, the previous number of casualties was still not small. The people who went to rescue, as well as the two strikers, had already run 3 or 4 times after a while, and they were sweating. So many times, they put a seriously injured soldier down from the stretcher. They could not bear to sit on the spot, so they had a rest. The place where the two men were at this time was temporarily set up for military doctors to rescue the wounded. At this time, there were many casualties, and many seriously injured people were lying around them. However, because there were too few military doctors, no military doctor was free to come, no matter how many people around them cried. And the two men turned a blind eye to the general, just to rest. Is resting. Far away then saw Mo Shanghua to carry the medicine box to come over. After death did not follow a person. They looked at each other and stood up. Mo Shanghua squatted down in front of one of the seriously injured and unconscious soldiers of the two of them. He didn't lift his head and said to them, "Come here and help me lift him up." At the moment, they were basically wailing in pain, and no one would have the energy to pay attention to them. Therefore they quickly understood and went forward, one helping to lift the man up, the other handing things to her. "What does your highness want you to do?" Mo Shanghua untied the soldier's skirt, and put the medicine on the man's chest. He lowered his voice, using the voice that only two people could hear. The forward who supported the soldier raised his eyes and glanced at Mo Shanghua. He saw that her eyes were low and calm. Obviously, he had already guessed their identity, so he didn't hide it. He also lowered his voice to the lowest level. Protect the princess under your highness's command. Protect me. Mo flower hand action done with a flash. Lift eyes straight at that forward to see a look. Said his surveillance, afraid is more appropriate. The man bowed his head and did not retort. On the street, the color of light mockery increased instead of decreasing. If I didn't do what he said, or was it a temporary defection? The man's eyes flashed, but his face was a little smile. What is the princess saying? Our orders are just to protect and assist you. As for the others, I'm afraid you have to ask your highness. Although the words say so, but Mo Shanghua is clear in his eyes to see a bit of a flash of killing. It seems that they are not only monitoring, they are afraid that as long as she has a little change, they will kill immediately. On the street, the beautiful eyes like flowers and wells coagulated a thin layer of frost, but they couldn't see anything different. That's good. As soon as the words came down, a military doctor came in with a medicine box and a curtain. Seeing the flowers on the street, he bent over and saluted, and went to one side to treat the patient. Mo Shanghua just bandaged the wound for the soldier at this time, so she picked up the medicine box and went to another slightly injured soldier. Seeing this, the two strikers did not stay, so they took the stretcher and left quickly. Mo Shanghua looked back at the curtain that had been thrown up and down because of the two people's departure. Then she looked down at the residual white powder in the palm of her hand. She wiped the palm with a handkerchief. After the powder was wiped clean, it seemed as if nothing had happened. She put away the handkerchief and dropped her eyes to treat the injured. She didn't believe any of what the man said just now. I'm afraid it's their protection, assistance and surveillance. As for these two things, I don't think his words are so nice, but his eyes won't lie. I'm afraid Yen Moli's original words can only be, if there's a change, there's no amnesty. In this case, these two time bombs cannot be left. At that time, with Mo Zhang's personal command, the situation had improved a lot, and the number of casualties had also dropped. However, the casualties of the chaotic army were extremely heavy. As soon as the city gate was damaged by the siege vehicle, it could be opened. There were only a few hundred people on the city wall. Suddenly, a large number of people poured out from nowhere. It seemed that there were 2,000 people. What's more terrifying is that they all carry bows and arrows on their backs. The arrows are all specially made. When they take a torch, a bunch of flames will light up at the place where they cut their heads. At the same time, a confused soldier came to Yanbei City and knelt down on one knee. Deputy Commander, no good, General Wu failed to conquer Shiman and suffered heavy losses. Moreover, the enemy seems to know that you are here, and they have transferred all Shiman's soldiers and horses. What? Yan Beiqing suddenly widened his eyes, and his face was full of panic and fear. This. Before I finished, I saw that countless stars appeared on the wall in front of me, and the sky was full of them. If you look at them carefully, they are flaming rockets. As for where they fall, they are the soldiers under the wall. Thousands of rockets fell straight down, and the soldiers at the bottom were unprepared. Countless people were turned into ghosts under the arrows. If they were not shot at the key person, their armor clothes would be instantly ignited, rolling on the ground, crying bitterly. In addition, it was not a barren place outside the city, and some plants were planted sparsely around the city. In this way, almost a small area outside the city was ignited by the fire. However, because the plants were planted 10 meters away from the city wall, no matter how fierce the fire was around, all parts of the city wall were safe. However, in less than half an hour, the troops brought by Yanbei City were destroyed by this wave after wave of fire, and the morale of the troops dispersed. Many generals were pale after seeing the tragedy of the people around them. If they had not done this, they would have been a death penalty. They almost wanted to flee in a hurry. However, the rocket did not stop the posture, and even some have not far in front of Yan Beiqing. Withdraw quickly, go to call them all back. They are all like this, what else to fight? Yen North City Mao Bottom flashed a dignified, but the face was full of panic and fear. "Go to find the princess again, quick," said he, pretended to be anxious to kick a soldier. But the soldier didn't dare to say more and ran away in a hurry. At this time, under the city wall, the two strikers originally rushed in to save people. But as soon as they got in, they caught up with the fall of the rocket. At first, they were able to resist, but later, they didn't have half of their strength, and they couldn't show half of their martial arts by all means. Without martial arts, how could they resist the rocket? In a short time, they were killed by the arrow. Before they died, their last thought was flowers on the street. Must be flowers on the street. This little bitch. In order to save some soldiers, Emojiang's clothes were burned. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and put out the burning clothes in time, so that he didn't hurt himself. "General, the deputy commander has an order for you to withdraw quickly." "General, please retreat quickly." "General." The soldier who came to deliver the message cried out again and again, almost breaking his throat. Emojiang shot a rocket at himself, blocked it with an arrow, and then flew forward to block the rocket in front of Deputy General Wang. Then he turned around and tried his best to say in a loud voice. All the soldiers listened to the order, "Withdraw, withdraw quickly." Many generals heard that they had been released. They were busy with speeding up their escape. They were so embarrassed that they couldn't even care about the wounded. Yan Beiqing sighed. In order to deduce the usual wayward and wanton appearance of the Lord, his face has no color, and he almost wants to escape back to the barracks immediately. Even Mo Jiang and them have to abandon it. Mo Shanghua naturally cooperates with others, and makes an appearance of death. The villain cooperates seamlessly, and others only believe in it. In his heart, he has a little more disgust and dissatisfaction with Yan Beiqing. After waiting for Ma Jiang, they all changed their heads and fled quickly. Unexpectedly, the chaotic army, which was only defending but not attacking, opened the gate of the city and sent a team of people to chase them out. Mo Jiang looked back at the soldiers and horses, and his sword eyebrows could not help but wrinkle deeply. Lord, they are coming. It seems that they have at least 1,000 people and horses. All of us are only over 1,000 people and horses, and they are all disabled patients. If they are caught up, they are afraid that they will die. We should get rid of them quickly. I know. Yan Beiqing looked back at a large number of pursuers behind him, quickly raised the whip in his hand, and whipped the horse's ass again. Lord, where are we going now? Mo Shanghua sees this, also made an effort to smack the horse buttocks, and Yan Beiqing's current position is equal. Yan Beiqing didn't turn his head and said, "Of course I'll go back to camp. My brother left 1,000 people there. By that time, those bastards will be dead." As soon as the words came out, the soldier who had just come to report whipped his horse's ass, and rushed to not far behind Yanbei City. Lord, the barracks can't go back. When I came here, I heard that the barracks had been attacked by the enemy, our food and grass were burned, and the 1,000 people who were stationed in the barracks were not safe, so we would be killed if we went back. What? The horses under Yan Beiqing's body did not stop and still ran fast, but he couldn't help looking at the man. His face was full of disbelief. Do you mean that I don't even have a place to hide now? It's over. It seems that Wang is really... As he spoke, he looked despairing, as if he was in a state of extreme fear. When Mo Jiang heard the words, his sword eyebrows were tightly wrinkled and he asked, "What about the Second Highness? What's the situation at the South Gate where he is now? And the East Gate? What's the matter now?" "Excuse me, General. I don't know. I only know that the war in the West City is terrible. The situation is not clear now. It seems that we can't count on others." The flowers in the street smell the words, and their eyebrows can't help frowning. Under such circumstances, the only way is to escape to a safe place. In the long memory, the most urgent task now is to get rid of them first. Yan Beiqing looked back at the pursuers behind him. He was more and more frightened. They are chasing so hard. How can they throw them away? It's over. I'm afraid it's really over this time. The loss of so many soldiers and horses made Mo Jiang's heart very heavy. At the moment, when he heard that Yan Beiqing had shaken his army's heart, he could not help looking cold. "Vice General Wang, you protect the prince and the princess first. I'll cut off the queen." He suddenly pulled the reins, turned the horse's head and yelled, Han Xianxiu, take the remaining 300 of you. Let's find a way to get rid of them. Because Han Xianfeng had been dissatisfied with Yanbei City for a long time, he heard the words, and his face was half angry, but he didn't stop. He directly followed him. Yes, I will obey you. As they spoke, more than 200 people turned their horses around and stood in the middle of the road, waiting for the enemy to arrive. Yan Beiqing's eyes, full of fear and clarity, slightly missed the dark color, but his face was relieved. General Mo is very clear. I will ask my brother to give you a lot of rewards some other day. Hurry up, let's hurry up. At that time it was almost dusk. When Yan Beiqing and his party got rid of their pursuers and took a rest in a desolate forest, it was already dark. Because it was easy to find out how to make a fire, Mo Shenghua asked not to make a fire. Even the torches were only lit a few times, and the remaining 400 soldiers could only live on cold and hard food. Is there something wrong with my hunger? This kind of dry steamed bread tastes delicious. Yan Beiqing sat under the tree and looked at the dry cakes he had eaten most of. Few of them didn't complain. Mo Shenghua also held a cake bait in his hand, his face light, and said, in this situation, you can still eat this, which is delicious. Qin Lin touched the back of his head with a smile, and his face was simple and honest. When I was in the countryside, I couldn't even eat this kind of steamed bread. Now I can eat it. It's good. You're not only speaking well now, you're also speaking well. When the flowers in the street heard the words, they could not help but raise their lips and smile, which was quite a bit of bitterness. How to have a smile on others. Seeing this, Yan Beiqing turned his lips and muttered in a very low voice. Mo Shenghua's ear power is always good. Although Yan Beiqing's voice is small, it still comes into her ears. Her lips are slightly curved, but she doesn't know. Yan Beiqing's heart was sour, and his mood was not so good. He ate the rest of the cake with a few bolt, his cheeks bulging. Mo Shenghua handed over the water bag, and put the rest of the cake aside for the time being, with a slightly positive face. Well, now is not the time for joking and relaxing. Since we have all eaten it, let's talk about the business first. Qin Lin, go and ask Han Xianxiu to come here. Yes. Qin Lin immediately put the rest of the cake into his mouth and got up. Mo Shenghua turns her eyes and takes a look at Yan Beiqing at the moment. Their eyes meet for a short time, and then they seem to have reached a consensus. Tacitly, they move their eyes away, as if nothing happened. Lord Princess. Han Xianxiu bowed slightly and saluted. Mo Shenghua politely nodded, quietly looked at the person in front of him, then said, sit. Yes. Han Xianxiu looks like he's only about 20 years old. He's still very young. He has all the impulses and passion of young people, but he's not stupid in nature. If he's trained well, he should be a useful talent in the future. Unfortunately, he's sent by Yan Moli. Yan Beiqing took another cake and ate it. He said, Han Xianxiu, if you have something to say to the princess, I don't know much about this kind of thing. If you tell me, I can't understand it. In the past few days, Han Xianfeng has been used to Yan Beiqing, so he has no objection. Seeing that Han Xianfeng was not prejudiced, Mo Shenghua said, how many people are left here, and how much have we lost before? How much food is left in the army? Referring to this matter, Han Xianfeng's face darkened a little, and he looked very heavy. The last general has counted before. Our intact people are less than 400 now, and there are more than 300 disabled people. Among the remaining more than 2,000 people, including those who died in the war and were seriously injured and scattered, we have to count them in the future. The 2 pioneers sent by His Highness have disappeared, so they must have fought death, as for food and grass. At this point, Han Xianxiu can't help showing his embarrassment. Our grain camp has been burned down. Now the soldiers can only carry dry food for 1 day at most. Those bastards, if they can't beat us, will do some dirty tricks. Yan Beiqing listened and could not help biting the dry cake in his hand, his face full of anger. Speaking of this, Han Xianfeng's face became more and more ugly, and he could not help but scold. The dalet is the dalet, and the tricks used are naturally not noble. Take it easy. Mo Shenghua glanced at the 2 people, thought about it, and then said, what about the people who were sent out to look for your highness? Now there's news? And General Zhang who attacked the East Gate. What's the news over there? Han Xianfeng shook his head and looked irritable. None of the people sent out came back. They must have been cut off on the road. Now we are really on the verge of extinction. Speaking of the back, he has been irritable to grab the hair, but do not wait for the flowers to open. His eyes suddenly bright, hurriedly took out a map from the sleeve, said, I remember. Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing are all looking at him with an unidentified face, as well as the map that hasn't been unfolded in his hand, waiting for him. Han Xianxiu unfolded the map and sent it to Huayan Beiqing and Mo's Hang. He said, before he left, he had prepared a map of Anzhou and its surrounding area in advance. Most of the reasons why we are at a dead end are that we are not familiar with the location. Now with this map, we can find the most distance from Yuzhou will be safe for the time being when we get close to the land, and then we'll escape through the night. Han Xianxiu was sent to the role of Mo Shanghua's heart is also largely aware of, therefore, there is no big waves on the face, just nodded. That's right, this place should not be too far away from Yuzhou district. At that time, in the transfer of some soldiers from the city in the past, General Mo there must be able to take a breath. Han Xianfeng's face was just filled with joy. When he mentioned Mo Jiang, his face was immediately diluted and lowered. There are so many chaotic troops chasing after him. It must be that General Mo and Wang's deputy general are already more evil than good. Mo Shanghua was silent for a long time. Then he said, if your highness is successful and the city of Anzhou is broken, these pursuers will not dare to pursue. The danger of General Mo can be solved naturally. Or we can go to help faster. That's all we can do now. Han Xianxiu sighed a little, nodded heavily, and said nothing. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua asked Qin Lin to take a torch and light up the map. For a long time, her slender fingertips stopped at a position on the map. According to the route mark on the map, we should be at this position now, which is 30 miles away from Anzhou. As she spoke, her fingertips began to move along the route on the map. When she arrived at a place marked as Liangcheng, she stopped. This is a big city within a 100 li radius, the largest under Yuzhou jurisdiction, and the closest to our present location. According to the law, there are at least 3,000 soldiers in the city. We just need to go along this road, and it only takes 2 hours to get there. Han Xianfeng nodded thoughtfully, pointed his fingertips to an intersection behind the point of Mo Shanghua, and said, there are 2 roads to Liangcheng, one is from here, passing by the county in the east, and the other is from the west. It seems that the distance between the 2 roads is almost the same. Which direction should we go in the end? Mo Shanghua's eyes also looked at the place Han Xianfeng pointed out, and his eyes were shining slightly. At first glance it really looks like this, but east and west, but one is under the jurisdiction of Yuzhou and the other is under the jurisdiction of Anzhou. The difference between the 2 is not small. However, the hands of those mobs should not be so long. They can reach Anzhou. Han Xianxiu, in your opinion? Han Xianfeng frowned and thought hard for a moment, then hesitated and said, after listening to the princess's words, the general found that he had made the old problem of not thinking about the problem comprehensively. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that our pursuers should not be far away. There are only 200 people in General Mo's side. Even if they can't resist it for a long time, I'm afraid they will catch up soon to avoid the safety of princes and concubines. I think it's better for me to take people to pretend to be princes and concubines and flee from the west, while princes and concubines go from the east under the jurisdiction of Anzhou. Princes and concubines should know that there is an old saying that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Mo Shanghua originally thought that Han Xianxiu was just the result of Yan Moli's reputation of treating his younger brother harshly in order to avoid being talked about. He should not have been given any special task. Now, it's clear in his heart to hear him say so. Yan Moli is really cautious. It's not enough to have those 2 pioneers. There is a pioneer here. Just thinking about it, he saw that Han Xianxiu's eyes swept towards her quietly. The implication is self-evident. The flower eye color on the Mo Dun Time Lian. Turn the eye to see to Yan Beiqing. Don't enter the tiger's den to get the tiger's son, Lord. I and Han Xianxiu's idea coincide. Yan Beiqing opened the water bag, poured a drink, cleared his throat, and opened his mouth as if he were very cautious. Since you two think so, there must be your reason. Just listen to you. In this case, Han Xianxiu, I'd like to ask you to pass on the order. When we have a cup of tea to rest, we'll hurry. Mo Shanghua gives the torch back to Qin Lin and orders him to go on. Yan Beiqing agreed that Han Xianfeng had no reason to disobey his orders. He immediately got up and said, "The End General will obey his orders. By the way, the End General will find two people who are similar to the shape of the prince and the princess, and ask the prince and the princess to cooperate and exchange clothes with them." "I know. Han Xianfeng, go and be busy." Yan Beiqing waved his hand and put the last mouthful of cake into his mouth. As for the next, Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing deliberately did not have too much intersection, so as to avoid the doubt of Han Xianfeng. Then, it was very smooth to find two people who were similar to them, exchanged clothes with them, and the marching order, let the two fake people walk at the top, while Yan Beiqing and Mo Shanghua were dressed in ordinary soldiers' clothes, followed them, and when they got to the fork in the road marked on the map, they directly divided the remaining people into two, respectively from east to west. Two different places go their separate ways. When it was still more than half of the way to Donglin, the team that had gone quickly slowed down under the instruction of Yan Beiqing. He grabbed the reins of the horses under him, and his tone was rather casual. "It's too dark here, and you can't see anything clearly. You'd better slow down, otherwise, how can you fall into the pit?" At present, in addition to Mo Shanghua of Yan Beiqing, there are no other vanguard deputy generals in the team. They are all big-headed soldiers. With Yan Beiqing's words, they dare not say anything. They are busy and obedient and slow down. Mo Shanghua looks sideways at Yan Beiqing, who looks like a dandy yuang in front of Chang Ri people. Her eyebrows don't change at all. She just turns her head and looks ahead as if she doesn't see anything. At that time, it was late at night, and there was silence everywhere. Except for the disorderly step of soldiers and horses on the ground, and the panting of soldiers and soldiers, there was terrible silence everywhere, even the sound of cicadas and frogs. Originally, he was riding at the front of the team. Yan Beiqing suddenly tightened the reins, and the horse stopped and stopped. When some soldiers were still in doubt, they saw that the people around them all stopped their horses one after another, and stopped in line with Yanbei City. Yan Beiqing was riding on a high horse. Most of his face was in the dark. Only half of his face was reflected by the moonlight. However, the scarlet birthmark on his cheek became more and more demonic and terrifying at this time. It was so vivid that it seemed to be stained by real blood. A layer of treacherous atmosphere gradually appeared in the air. Kill. For a long time, Yan Beiqing caged in the dark that bipolar bright deep eyes just flash a faint light. Thin lips lightly spit out a word. But let a person can't ignore. Only feel cold hair all over the body seems to stand up with this sentence. With such momentum, Yan Beiqing and Yan Beiqing, who were greedy for life and afraid of death, were just two people, and they could not be associated with each other in any case. As soon as the words came to an end, those who were still in doubt and astonishment saw a flash of white light in the hands of their comrades in arms beside them. By the next moment, they had no time to think. In Mo Shanghua's eyes, every soldier suddenly raised his hand and drew a dagger from his wrist. Then he quickly wiped the necks of the people around him. Unexpectedly, all the people around him fell down in an instant. On the clean white blade of the killing soldier's hand, he was instantly dyed red by blood. From head to toe, Yan Beiqing didn't even look back, as if he was extremely confident of the people behind him, and didn't worry that they would make any mistakes. Shua and Shua, after dealing with Yan Moli's soldiers, they quickly adjusted their formation and knelt down behind Yan Beiqing. In this process, they didn't even make a single sound, and their movements were extremely light. All the people in the blood department of the subordinates see the master. Mo Ling, who had not seen for a long time, suddenly came out of the crowd and knelt in the front of the queue, bowing respectfully. Under the bright moonlight, Mo Shanghua looks at Yanbei City at that time. In her calm eyes, she looks a little. The feeling in her heart can only be expressed in words. She always knew that Yan Beiqing was powerful, but she never thought that he was so powerful. It seemed that so many people were just a branch of his staff. What was his real strength? Although it's not a long way to Donglin, Mo's Hangflower in Yenbei City wasted a lot of time to rest. When it was about to reach Donglin, the sky was already white. Mo's Hangflower in Yenbei City and the soldiers were tired. Mo Shanghua rubbed his forehead wearily, but he still raised his voice and said, "Everyone, we are sticking to it. When there is a cup of tea, it's time to come to the east. At that time, you can have a rest." "Yes." All the soldiers answered weakly, and the tired color on their faces turned better. Yan Beiqing is also pale, eyelids have drooped down, seems to be asleep at any time in general. This section of the road they took is an official road, which is open between the dense forests. Beside the road are lush trees and sparse vegetation. It must be an excellent place for Tibetans. It seems that Yin Moli chose a good place. Although the flowers on the street are tired, their eyes are still turning around from time to time, keeping in mind the surrounding terrain and the growth direction of trees. Just thinking about it, Yin Beiqing suddenly didn't know when he came to her side, and quietly put a dagger in her hand. His voice was very light and whispered in her ear, "Be careful." As soon as the words came to an end, there were many noisy footsteps in the originally quiet woods. Then a large group of people in the clothes of the mob poured out from the deep forest, each with a sharp blade in his hand. In a short time, Yan Beiqing was surrounded by a group of people. As for the specific number, if you really count it, it would be more than 500 people at least. However, different from the mob, these people are all wrapped in black veil at the moment, and the leader does not deliberately stand in the front. For a moment, it is difficult to distinguish. When Yan Beiqing and his party, who were all tired, saw this, they all looked frightened. The soldiers all pulled out their swords in a hurry, and their eyes turned around like they had no backbone, as if they were scared to the extreme. Yan Beiqing didn't have a sword on him. At the sight of the battle, he was so scared that he almost fell off his horse. "Princess, princess, what should we do now?" Mo Shanghua's complexion is not very good either. Almost instantly, she clenched Yan Beiqing's dagger, and then quietly handed it to her. She coagulated her eyes and scanned the mobs who surrounded them. In addition to these, her eyes more or a bit surprised, a bit cold. That day, the ambush place Yan Moli said was east-facing. Now, before he arrived east-facing, he moved his hand. It seems that he doesn't trust himself at all. He is really an old fox. The so-called mobs didn't give Yan Beiqing and others too much breathing time. The next breath was under the command of a mob of the mob. All of them surged up. The blades in their hands were reflected by the morning light, and there were bursts of terrible cold light. However, when the mob rushed to the soldiers and just wanted to fight, they saw that all the soldiers who were scared and flustered suddenly turned their faces. They were covered with a layer of cold air, and their parry skills were all the same. They were all deadly with knives, ruthless and merciless, and they didn't take half of the mud and water. It seemed that they had received special training. No, they are not ordinary soldiers. Yan Moli, who was mixed in the crowd, was caught by a man dressed as an ordinary soldier when he rushed in front of Yan Beiqing. The more he fought with him, the more frightened he was. After he was solved, he was shocked to see the fighting and the casualties of the people around him. It seems that he has also been cheated. Thinking of this, his eyes quickly crossed the crowd and fixed on the flower. At that time, Mo Shanghua was only wearing the clothes of ordinary soldiers. Now he is fighting in the crowd, and he has spent a lot of time looking for them. Although Mo Shanghua is a woman, she is delicate and thin. Now she is in the scuffle, but she has no problem. The dagger she just held has been put away by her, and she has replaced it with a long sword from the hand of the mob she just killed. When the sword falls, a dead soul will fall. It was Yan Beiqing, who had just been around him, but he could not find it now. Chang Ri's bodyguard who was beside Yan Moli solved a man who was fighting with him. Then he came to Yan Moli's side and said, "Your Highness, we've been tricked. These people are not sent by us before, and they can't be under King Yu." "I know." Yan Moli got rid of the entanglement of one person, and withdrew from the battle circle with the bodyguard temporarily. His face stained with blood was very ugly. Yenbei City is gone. When the bodyguard heard that he was busy with his eyes, He also searched around the crowd. Finally, he fixed his eyes on Mo Shanghua. Your Highness, in my opinion, these people are the killers hired by Princess Yu from other places. King Yu must have been protected by her first. She must have guessed that the person who framed her was deliberately retaliating against you. It seems that we have underestimated her. Yen Emoli, a pair of eagle eyes, dyed a bit of gloomy color. Voice low and dull, spit out a word. After he found out that Mo Shanghua was very different from before, he took more precautions when he cooperated with him later. He also expected that Mo Shanghua would not be at her mercy in everything, and might do some tricks in some small things to seek benefits for himself. But he could not imagine that what she wanted was to destroy his plan, or she wanted his life more. However, they now have 500 people, and Mo Shanghua is only preparing 200. It is still uncertain who will win or lose. The bodyguard wiped the blood on his cheek. If we can't find King Yu, all our plans for today will be ruined. Your Highness, what should we do now? Yen Mo's face flashed a bit of evil, and his eyes fell on the flowers in the crowd like a blade. Now of course, it's from my good siblings. Since Yen Beiqing and Mo Shanghua have reached a consensus, no matter whether Yen Beiqing is a real fool or a fake fool, it is impossible to see his own wife captured but indifferent. The bodyguard followed Yen Mo Li's eyes to see in the past, immediately understood and said, I understand. With that, he clenched the bloody sword in his hand, and was about to kill the flowers on the street. No, I will catch her myself. Yen Mo Li Ying's eyes narrowed dangerously, and then he didn't wait for the guard to open his mouth, so he put up a sword to fight into the crowd. Yen Mo Li's martial arts are superb. Even if the people who enter today are actually from the Dark Guard camp where Yen Beiqing has practiced for many years, when he meets Yen Mo Li, he will inevitably be defeated. In a moment, he breaks through many obstacles and comes to Mo Shanghua. At that time, Mo Shanghua just beat back a person, just took back the sword, then felt a very strong breath behind her, straight to her back. In her heart, she reacted quickly and turned back suddenly. Then she saw that the same people in coarse clothes and veiled were sticking a long sword to her chest. She quickly held the sword against her chest. Dang dang dash, the tip of the man's sword was blocked by the edge of Mo Shanghua's sword, but the impact was too big. Mo Shanghua immediately stepped back and hit a tree behind her heavily. Just after such a collision, she felt her heart was full of blood and her strength was almost relaxed. The man didn't let her go. Instead of taking back the sword in his hand, his strength became stronger and stronger. Mo Shanghua's hand holding the hilt of the sword doesn't work hard again, and the green tendons at the wrist are springing up and supporting. In the meantime, she can't help but raise her eyes and take a glance. With this glance, she suddenly recognized the person opposite. Yen Mo Li. Even if his eyes turned to ashes, she remembered them. It seems that he should be aware of the absence of Yanbei City now, and want to catch her to force Yanbei City out. No, she must not lose to Yen Mo Li, let alone break the game because of her. With this in mind, Mo Shanghua quickly uses her internal power to put it between her wrists, and turns Yen Mo Li's sword body's strength with skillful force. Then she quickly leaves the tree like lightning, and runs out of the battle circle. Yen Mo Li's goal is to spend on the street. Seeing her running away at the moment, she naturally catches up with her quickly. Mo Shanghua was not far away from the war zone, but was caught up by Yen Mo when he got to the edge where there were fewer people, and they fell into a fight. Although Yen Mo Li's martial arts are strong, his wounds a few days ago have not been healed. Now he is a certain distance away from the war zone, and there is no interference around him. For a moment he can fight with Yen Mo Li. Two people is a confrontation. Yen Mo Li take this time in the street. Flower ear-side low voice asked, "Where is Yen Beiqing?" Mo Shanghua uses a long sword to block Yen Mo Li and sweeps it to his hem, but Yen Mo Li hides it. When Mo Shanghua gets up, he doesn't know what to do, but he breaks through Mo Shanghua's defense. He grabs her wrist and cuts her hand behind him. With the sword in his hand, he falls to the ground and reaches him. The flowers on the street were so clamped down, but they didn't struggle immediately. They were half flustered. They only said faintly, "Your Second Highness has great powers, and even such a big situation can be laid down. How come you can't even find the right master now?" This was ironic. Now, she said it in such a light tone that Yen Moli was as good as holding his ear and laughing at his miscalculation. Yen Moli's eyes became more and more dark, and he also used some strength to grasp the wrist of Mo Shang. Aren't you the same, no matter how crafty, now it's still in my hand? Now that I'm here, it's impossible for me to return empty-handed. You'd better be smart and tell the whereabouts of Yen Beiqing earlier. In this way, even if you betrayed me earlier, I can still see it for your sake and give you a happy way to die. The wrist was already pinched red, but the flower on the street didn't cry. There was a smile on his face. Yen Moli, you are too confident. I guess you haven't seen the war carefully from the beginning. Yen Moli has always been confident of his own people. He did not even raise his head. He only stared at the flowers on the street with his eyes full of evil. There is a great disparity in the forces. Besides, my people are comparable to those who are useless. You'd better not take this opportunity to delay time. Your tricks are useless in front of me. The flowers in the street smell the words, but the corner of their lips increases the radiance of sarcasm. Not in words, as if they are talking to such a conceited person as Yen Moli, which will reduce their intelligence quotient. I don't know why, Yen Moli saw this and his heart jumped. He felt that something had exceeded his expectation. He was so conceited that he could not help but turn his eyes to see the war situation in front of him. However, the scene in front of him was very different from what he expected. When he just fought with those people, he realized that their martial arts skills were extraordinary, but because they were very easy for him to solve, he overestimated the ability of his subordinates. The 500 people he brought with him, who had been carefully trained, could not match the people on the other side of Mo Shanghua. Especially, they were all able to stand in the way of 1 block and 3 blocks. Now the war has just begun, and he is on his side. It has obviously shown a losing trend. At that time, near a tree outside the war, Mo Ling watched the situation everywhere and lowered his voice, saying, "Lord, now they are losing, but there is still no trace of the remaining 500 people. Will Yen Mulligan not trust the princess and ambush the 500 people on the road to the west?" As you speculate, Yen Beiqing squatted on the side of Mo Ling's body. The phoenix's eyes, which were caged under the broad black cloak, were shining. It seemed that he was thinking about something. After a long time, he saw that the thin lip petals embedded in his lower jaw were open. Wait a minute. As he spoke, his eyes could not help searching in the war situation, but because of the angle, he could not find the trace of flowers on the street. His eyebrows suddenly wrinkled slightly, and his heart suddenly jumped, and he felt very uneasy. On Mo Shanghua's side, while Yen Moli was distracted, she took the opportunity to break free from his control, and stabbed him in the chest with her sword. Fortunately, Yen Moli responded in time, which avoided the fatal blow. Not only that, he was shocked and angry in his heart, and he was merciless. Mo Shanghua's right arm was immediately attacked by a sword, and the blood instantly dyed half-red sleeves. Looking up, at this time Yen Moli's eyes have been infected with a strong sense of killing. At the moment, he had only one idea in his mind. Today's strategy was wasted. He didn't even hurt half of Yen Beiqing's hair. And these are destroyed in the hands of Mo Shanghua. Her mind is so deep that she can't be used by him. Naturally, the only way to avoid future trouble is to kill her. Yen Moli, who had the intention to kill, knew that he couldn't resist. He quickly caught 2 silver needles between his fingers. The next second, the silver needles shot at him like an arrow in the air. After that, she didn't see how Yen Moli resisted. She quickly turned her lightness skill to the other end of the war. Yen Beiqing, who has been pursuing the trace of the flowers on the street, only after the flowers on the street skimmed over the shadows of many trees, did he accurately set his eyes on her. Before his sudden beating heart could recover, his eyes were stung by the dazzling red on the right arm of Mo Shanghua, and his whole body suddenly became angry. Mo Ling noticed the change of Yanbei City's atmosphere, and looked along his line of sight. He saw that the flowers on the street were colored, and Yen Moli was chasing after him. He was shocked. He quickly raised his hand to hold Yanbei City. "Lord, Yen Moli is no better than others, you can't go out." At this moment, Mo Shanghua, who was running towards Yen Beiqing's hiding place, seemed suddenly aware of the breath in his eyes. He took a look at the tree they were hiding, and then turned around and ran towards the deep forest. Yanmoli naturally followed. Lord, seeing that Yenbei City was about to lose control, Mo Ling bit her teeth and jumped down from the tree. She also quickly passed in the direction of flowers on the street. Protect the princess. As soon as the voice fell, several dark guards hurriedly solved the person in front of them and rushed to fight with Yan Mo. With the help of Mo Ling and others, Mo Shanghua was finally able to breathe. Mo Ling's martial arts are stronger than Mo Shanghua's. With the help of the 3 secret guards, Yan Moli's physical strength gradually lost. Looking at the war situation at this time, the difference in the number of people between the 2 sides has not been far from the beginning. The people on Yan Moli's side tried to rush out of the war several times to help Yan Moli, but they were all entangled by the people on Yan Beiqing's side and couldn't get away at all. I'm afraid there's no room for turning this round. Yan Moli is unwilling to admit it, but the current situation does not allow him to be conceited. Withdraw. He clenched his teeth and tried to kill the 2 dark guards. Then he yelled. However, the current situation is no longer a simple withdrawal. He can really withdraw the whole body. Yan Moli's bodyguard was scarred, but now he was still entangled by them. He could not help saying, "Master, subordinate poof." However, just in the middle of the words, he lost his life because he was separated from God and was put into his chest by a man's sword. If it is, the trend has gone. Yan Moli see this, heart suddenly a lin, left hand suddenly a turn. A dart-shaped concealed weapon then toward Mo Ling shot over. Taking advantage of Mo Ling's evasion, he wanted to run away. Mo Shanghua has been watching the battle. At this time, Yan Moli tries to run away and rushes forward. Yan Moli is unprepared and immediately gets a sword from Mo Shanghua. Yan Moli catches the hilt of the sword consciously and wants to slap Mo Hua with his backhand. Unexpectedly, Yan Beiqing, regardless of Mo Ling's dissuasion, rushes out and takes Yan Moli's hand. Yan Moli was injured, but he was still Yan Beiqing's opponent. The blood on his chest immediately dyed the whole front red, and he fell directly into the war. Fortunately, he didn't hit the edge of the knife, but was saved by his men. But Yan Beiqing didn't care about Yan Moli at the moment. He held the flowers tightly in his hand, and the black pupil covered by his cloak was full of heartache. Mo Shanghua recognized Yan Beiqing as the man at a glance. He suddenly lost the strength to struggle. Just as he relaxed, he suddenly thought of something. He struggled to get out of Yan Beiqing's arms. Yan Moli, hurry up, you can't let him run. Mo Ling smelled speech, hurried to come over way. Princess, he just ran. Yan Beiqing looked up at the few Yan Moli people who were still struggling in the war situation, and said, let him go. With that, his eyes fell on Mo Shanghua again. Seeing the blood on her right arm, his brow immediately wrinkled tightly. If he didn't want to, he would hold her horizontally. Then he would carefully put her on the horse's back. He would sit behind her and put her in his arms. He said, Mo Ling, you can clean up the mess. Don't leave anything alive. Yes, sir. What are you doing? Mo Shanghua half leans in Yan Beiqing's arms and looks at him with puzzled eyes. Hold on. Yan Beiqing asked in a low voice, and then he gave a hand to the horse's buttocks. The horse immediately ran with his feet up. He then explained in a low voice, your wound needs to be treated. Liangcheng is in front of you. I'll take you there first. Mo Shanghua then remembered that he had been injured. He looked down at his bleeding right arm, ordered several acupoints to stop bleeding, and then rested on Yan Beiqing's arms. However, she did not sleep last night. In addition to the road, it is more fighting, the body is very tired, so a relaxation, eyelids will be more heavy up, the head from time to time because of drowsiness light point. In a daze, she suddenly spewed out a sentence in a very low voice. Yan Beiqing, how can you expose your identity for me? At this time, her voice was very soft, not like the coldness and indifference of the ordinary day. In Yan Beiqing's eyes, she felt that her heart was about to melt. He couldn't help feeling a little tender between his eyebrows and eyes. He dropped his eyes and gave her a kiss on the top of her hair. Then he lifted his eyes and continued on his way. When he arrived at Liangcheng, he naturally entered the post station as King Yu. Until the wound on Mo's hang flower was treated and placed on the bed, he was still hovering in his mind what Mo's hang flower had just said vaguely. Because you are the most important. It took him a long time to gaze at her, and then he suddenly spat out a word very gently, and then he could not help kissing her on her white forehead, and then he fell asleep beside her contentedly. When I wake up, it's evening. She looked at the empty room, and was about to get up when she accidentally pulled the wound. Subconsciously, she raised her hand to cover her right arm. Then she found that her right arm wound had been bandaged, her clothes had been changed, and she was clean. Now she is in a strange place. Yanbei City. She quickly lifted the quilt, rolled out of bed, looked around the room and called out, "Princess, are you awake? Slave Qinlin, what can I do for you?" As soon as the voice fell, I saw the figure of a man reflected outside the closed door. Mo Shanghua felt relieved. He opened the door and saw that it was Qinlin outside. Then he said, "Qinlin, are we in Liangqing? Yen, where is the Lord? Where is he now?" Qinlin has never been able to tell a lie. At the moment, Mo Shanghua asked, and directly pulled out. Wang Yi, he sent troops out, saying that he was going to save General Mo and Han Xianfeng. The flower on the street frowned tightly, and the bottom of his eyes was a little worried. How many people did he take, when did he go, and in which direction did he go? Don't worry, princess. Have a glass of water first. Qinlin saw that the petals of flowers on the street were peeling, but he was so anxious that he poured a glass of water and said, "The Lord took 2,000 people with him. He settled you down in the morning, and went there in a hurry. It seemed that he was going to the west. By the way, the Lord has specially told you to take good care of your wounds. You are not allowed to leave the city before he comes back." Mo Shanghua took the tea, but did not drink it immediately, drooping his eyes and whispering thoughtfully. "Shilin 2,000 people, that's good." Yin Moli asked her to go out that night. In the name of cooperation, Mo Shanghua told Yin Beiqing all about the things she had told her. Their actions in recent days were just scheming. Yin Beiqing had been unable to bear it. He had been trying to confuse Yin Moli and hide his identity. On the other hand, he wanted to see if the 500 people were the role of Huang Ke. When Yin Moli started ahead of time, Mo Shanghua had guessed the movement of the 500 people. Yin Moli didn't trust him so much that he didn't put all his hands in Donglin. The rest of them must be afraid of the rebellion of Mo Shanghua. Now Yanbei City should be going to exterminate the 500 people. 2,000 people, that's enough for Yin Moli. The thought in the brain is almost, the Mo Shanghua this just held the tea to drink a few mouthfuls. Just drank some. She raised her head again. By the way, over there in Anzhou, still no news? Qinlin shook his head. You guessed well, but there was no news. As they were talking, the master and the servant heard a sudden noise outside the door, a mixture of footsteps, and the man's confused voice calling doctor. The flower in the street immediately put down the tea and went out. Sure enough, in the spacious backyard, two people dressed as ordinary soldiers were supporting Mo Jiang, who was covered with blood, and came in. They were followed by many soldiers. Each of them was more or less decorated, but they didn't know what they were doing. They just walked anxiously and cried, "Doctor, go to find a doctor. General, I can't do it." Mo Jiang, that's a qualified general. Mo Shanghua was very appreciative of Mo Jiang in her heart. Therefore, seeing that he was so hurt, she hurriedly followed him up and said, "I'm a doctor. I can save him. You carry him in quickly." Mo Shanghua used to be the only woman in the army. Naturally, everyone in the army recognized her and knew that she was a doctor. Hearing the words, she didn't care about anything else. She nodded and sent Mo Jiang to an empty room. "Qinlin, get my medicine box." Mo Shanghua hurried to keep up with him, looking back and telling him. Qinlin nodded hard and ran back to the room of Mo Shanghua. After a while, he took the medicine box back. At this time, the majestic Ma Jiang had already lost the day before yesterday. The armor on his body has been taken off, but his clothes have been glued together by blood stains. He can't open them at all. He can't check the wound. Seeing the situation, he skillfully took the scissors and cut off all his clothes. Without the shelter of clothes, the flowers on the street can clearly see the wounds on Mo Jiang's body. I saw that his strong body was covered with all kinds of wounds, including sword wounds, knife wounds, and many bruises. Some wounds are shallow and scabby, but some still exude a small amount of blood from time to time. And the wounds are particularly ferocious. Look at Emojang's face again. It is as white as paper. Repeated at any time will not hold the general. This, after all, is to experience what kind of battle, but also how tenacious willpower, to support this pair of broken body to fight? Mo Shenghua was shocked by the wound on Ma Jiang's body, and her heart suddenly became solemn. She started to deal with the wound very quickly. While she was dealing with the wound, she did not forget to say, "I can't leave now. You come here to write down the prescription quickly, and go to boil the medicine quickly. However, your general's life will be lost." The soldiers hurriedly pushed out one of them and hurriedly found pen and paper. Okay, princess, you say. Ginseng, Artemisia RG Lotus Heart. Mo Flower's eyes did not move away from Mo Zhang's body, but still can accurately say the prescription. When Yan Beiqing came in with the doctor, he happened to see such a scene, and he was helpless. He wanted to let Mo Shanghua have a good rest, but she couldn't stay idle. After such a short time, she took things for herself again, which made him feel more and more distressed. Go to the West Wing first and see someone else. Yan Beiqing turned to the doctor around him and ordered him to sit down in the room, quietly looking at the flowers on the street treating Ma Jiang. A person is extremely charming when he is serious, and the flowers on the street are just like this in Yan Beiqing's eyes. Her concentrated eyebrows and eyes, as well as fingertip flying action, fell in his eyes, all like with a special magic in the eyes of the general, extraordinary demagogic mind. Mo Shanghua's whole mind is immersed in the treatment of the patient at the moment, and doesn't notice Yan Beiqing's eyes at all. So busy enough to have nearly 2 hours of time, will Ma Jiang pull back from the ghost door. Feed him the medicine, and he should wake up one night later. You should prepare some light food like porridge in advance, so that he won't be too hungry when he wakes up. Mo Shanghua wiped the sweat on his forehead, and told the soldiers behind him. All the soldiers nodded their heads like garlic, and there was no prejudice against the flowers on the street. Mo Shanghua was about to go out when he saw Yan Beiqing sitting at the table in the room, holding his chin and looking at her attentively. When did you come back? Mo Shanghua eyebrow tip light pick a few minutes, some surprised looking at Yan North City. While you were treating General Mo, Yan Beiqing slowly stood up, took her hand and walked out. I think you've been busy just now, but you haven't eaten yet. I'll take you to dinner. The flowers on the street were pulled by Yan Beiqing, and he had to follow him at his feet. But looking at the weather outside, I couldn't help wondering, this evening, where can I have a meal? You won't kill someone to get up and cook in the middle of the night. Yan Beiqing looked back helplessly and raised her hand on her forehead. My princess, it's in the city now. There are restaurants outside. Mo Shanghua touched Yan Beiqing's forehead, and later he realized, I forgot. As soon as the voice fell, the whole person was dragged forward by Yan Beiqing. This time she was still in a daze. Suddenly, she was dragged forward by Yan Beiqing and touched her wound. She suddenly can't help but take a breath. Willow eyebrow tightly frown. What's the matter? Such a subtle voice. Yan Beiqing or immediately in the ear. Busy look back to see to Mo hurt. See her left hand is covering by his right arm. Frown tight wrinkle appearance immediately reaction. Can't help but chagrin patted his head. The king unexpectedly forgot your injury. Is it hurt you? The wound has no problem. Do you want to go back to have a look? Mo Shanghua shook his head, eyebrows stretched out. Nothing, just pulled. However, as soon as her voice fell, she felt that she was light, and that she had been swept up by Yanbei City. Yanbei City, what are you going to do? Put me down at this time. Although it was late, there were still some people on the street. Yan Beiqing's embrace attracted the attention of pedestrians. Yan Beiqing didn't care. Instead of letting go, he swaggered up on the street with her in his arms. If they like to see it, I just want to take my princess to dinner. Between words, it's all spoiling. Mo Shanghua stares at Yan Beiqing with endless tender eyes for a moment. The defense line in his heart seems to be completely relaxed at the moment, and his heart is completely soft. Women are such strange creatures. Sometimes they don't need any dynamism. They may just be the details of their life, which may make their heart turn into a whole. As a matter of fact, Yan Beiqing had already arranged in the restaurant. When the flowers came, the waiter rushed forward to meet them and took them to the elegant room on the second floor. The small kitchen downstairs was also urging them to cook. Not long after they arrived, they cooked hot meals in the kitchen and sent them to the elegant room in turn, with a full table of various delicacies. Yan Beiqing took a bowl of soup and put it in front of Mo Shanghua. He said, "If you have a wound, you should make up for it. Well, you can't get used to the military food these days. Come on, eat more." While talking, he took another bowl and kept putting all kinds of food in it. "I'm not that." Mo Shanghua was about to retort, and then he changed his mouth as if he suddenly thought of something. He said, "I don't have such a big appetite. You've caught so much. I'm afraid I can't finish it." She wanted to say that she was not so coquettish. In her previous life, she had suffered more when she was carrying out tasks. What she had done a few days ago was nothing. However, she thought that Yan Beiqing was full of good intentions at the moment. When she said this, she changed her mind by pouring cold water on him again. Yan North City flat mouth, extremely childish mouth. Can't finish eating then left, this king doesn't care, anyway don't allow and clip back. The flower on the street saw this, and suddenly it was helpless and funny, "I just eat." As soon as she took a few mouthfuls of rice at the entrance, she couldn't help pausing for a moment. She solidified her face and asked, "I just saw General Mo, but I don't know if Han Xianxiu and his party can find him?" Yan Beiqing dropped his head to get a small glass of wine for himself, and said in a heavy voice, "When our king led the troops to support, Han Xianfeng was ambushed by the mob, and he had already returned to the Yellow Spring, but fortunately before our king left, the 500 mobs had time to evacuate, and we had avenged them. The idea now is that Yan Moli hid the 500 people, and they should have been wiped out by him. As for Han Xianxiu sent by Yan Moli, they have also been disposed of." Mo Shanghua understood Yan Beiqing's meaning, so she didn't go on questioning. She just thought of the rebellion in Anzhou and asked again, "What's the state of Anzhou now? I asked Qin Lin when I woke up. He said that there was no news yet." Referring to this matter, the clear color of Yu King and Yan Beiqing's eyes faded a little, and dyed a layer of dark color. "Maureen." He suddenly put down his chopsticks, raised his voice slightly, spewed 2 words in the room without expression, and couldn't see where he was looking. The next second, Maureen appeared in front of him. "I understand." With that, his figure flashed again, and in a twinkling of an eye, there was no trace in the house. However, there were a few more breaths around the small house, obviously to prevent eavesdropping. With this layer of protection, Yanbei City had no scruples, but Mianwu did not return to the cold and indifferent state when he was a cloaker, but his eyes were darker than usual. According to my information, the people in Anzhou have already surrendered. Mo Shanghua's face was dyed with surprise. "What, how?" Yan Beiqing explained patiently. "According to the information just inquired from Hua Qianlu, Yan Moli's plan is to attack the 4 gates of East, West, North and South, and Yan Moli's plan is to attack the 4 gates of East, West, North and South. Yan Moli's plan is to attack the 4 gates of East, West, North and South, and Yan Moli's plan is to attack the 4 gates of South. He was not there at the beginning. He left a stand-in there to attack. As for the East Gate, it's just a small fight, it's just that there were not many casualties at all. The generals sent by the West Gate were too useless, and soon they were defeated. This led to the opportunity for the mob to send troops to the North City." After a pause, his eyes suddenly crossed a bit dark. "But except for Shiman, other casualties are not big. The mob side is also defeated. The mob side, there is no gate to use the same way as the North City. As for their surrender, it was half an hour after our withdrawal. There are still 4,000 people left in the city who have been captured." Mo Shanghua's quiet eyes can't help but scratch a cold color, and the temperature on his face also faded a bit. "The barracks said it was burned, but it's nothing at all, right?" Yan Beiqing nodded, and took a sip of the wine to his lips. He said, "Not bad." Mo Shanghua's palm is slightly tightened, and his face is full of frost. He has left many back roads for himself. The purpose of sending someone to send false news is to design a way to harm Yan Beicheng. Even if he gets away with it, he doesn't have to be afraid to confront him. He just needs to say that the man is a mob pretending to be. As for the delay in sending troops to save Yan Beicheng after the capture of Anzhou, it can also be explained that Yan Beicheng's whereabouts are unknown, and they are not allowed to inform. Every success or failure, he has prepared the success and failure of the method. The mind is really meticulous, incomparable. Yan Beicheng's deep eyes crossed with a touch of irony. He is smart, and he is defeated in the end. But now I still have a puzzle. I want to talk with you. Without waiting for Yan Beicheng to say it, he turned his eyebrows and eyes. Then he had a number in his heart and said, "If I guess well, it should be the matter of the 1,000 soldiers." Yan Beicheng's delicate chin is tiny, and the corners of his lips are slightly raised. The princess is really smart. The flowers on the street did not respond. They dropped their eyes and thought quietly. The long curly eyelashes, which were like a fan, trembled a few times from time to time, and the dark color in their eyes seemed to change with it. For a long time, she looked up at Yan Beicheng with a look on her face. Yan Moli disappeared there before, and more than 1,000 people seemed to evaporate in the world, but now they came out of thin air, disguised as a mob, and wanted to kill people with a knife. But when I think about it, I always feel that it's not a trick of killing people with a knife at all, but it's the hands of the mob. Yan Beicheng didn't move his eyebrows. He didn't have much surprise on his face. It seemed that he had thought of this layer for a long time. Do you suspect that Yan Beicheng is colluding with the mobs? I think about it, and I really can't think of any place where so many people can be hidden. Now when I think about it carefully, it's the only place that is the most suitable one within 100 miles. The flower on the street is staring at the mouth slowly. And the words are well-founded. Another point is that in order to expand the number of people, the mobs have been trying to capture the people around them. This will only make the imperial court worried about the large number of mobs. As for why the mobs can capture so many people in a short period of time, and their force is not low, no one will have the leisure to study. Thinking of this, the flower eyes on the street could not help but scoff. In order to kill you, he really tried his best, but I don't understand. It is well known that His Highness King Yu is a dandy who only knows how to eat, drink and play. Why does he have to work hard to kill you? This has always been the case in the struggle for the throne. Even if there is a slight possibility of succeeding, it may be a threat in the future. Yen North City Mao color faint enunciation. Mao inside not too big emotion fluctuation. However, I poor have more bold speculation. The eyebrows on the street are gently raised, and the color of curiosity floats in the eyes, just like a pair of ears. Yan Beicheng's eyes darkened a little, and his face became a little solemn. He said, "Did you ever think that the reason why the rioters started to make trouble was that the grain merchants of Wujuan didn't send grain, which led to a large number of people's 5 grains to eat, and then they escaped? But Wujuan was just a small county in Yuzhou. Where could so many people go out to make trouble? Moreover, the most important thing is that the gathering speed of these people is too fast, but in a short period of 1 month, they have so many people, and their combat effectiveness is not weak." After a pause, he raised his hand and dipped some wine in the wine cup. He took the bowl and chopsticks in front of him to one side for a while, and drew a few simple graffiti on the table between his fingers. "I asked people to check that the place where they first made trouble was in the east, and then gradually spread from the east. The distance from the east to Anzhou was not as close as Liangcheng, and Liangcheng was still far away from the border." He said, "Why is it that they are not contaminated by poverty?" Yan Beicheng's words are like the traction power in his eyes. With his guidance, these clues are like the beginning and the end, which are gradually connected in his mind. It's like this. It's like this. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she was. Her eyes were full of surprise. "Do you mean that the disaster of the mob is Yan Moli's play from beginning to end?" He did not dare to put his hand in Yuzhou too much because there were many imperial cities in Yuzhou. The risk was too high. If he found out that it was a crime of death, he would be very cautious. The purpose of his doing this is nothing more than to raise the level of the world at present. However, when he was old, he could not get a reward from the emperor. So he wanted to make meritorious contributions in order to win the title of king and land. Before Lenovo, he sneaked into Yuzhou and wanted to fight for the place where the weapons were made. I'm afraid it was also for the sake of winning the fiefdom in the future. Fortunately, he secretly trained his troops on the fiefdom and made full preparations for the future struggle for the throne. Maybe he had something to do with the food merchants in Wujian. There is always something wrong with the previous things. Now after such a series, everything is completely clear. Yan Beiqing dropped his eyes to wipe the wine stains on the table, changed a wine cup, and poured a cup for himself again. Then he said, "His play is very good. Those innocent people in Yuzhou's troops are all real. He has consumed a lot." The flower eyes on the street seemed to be wrapped with ice, half cold, half ironic, and a bit tricky to have such a strong opponent. Every piece of what he has done has to be counted in it. If you can get everything you want, what's the point? Yan Beiqing, however, was not satisfied. His eyes vaguely showed a kind of happy rising color like a match. There is no exact evidence for this matter at present, so I will help him remember it first, and I will settle it with him in the future. However, his eyebrows were tightly wrinkled, and he was not half relaxed. But this trip Yuzhou lost so many troops. One said, "There is no worry in the north of the city, but it is a relaxed state. This move is only profitable for us. In the past few years, Yuzhou has been filled with the islet of the imperial city. The past is that the timing is not ripe, and there is no suitable time. It has been kept. Now he has also given a good opportunity. Yuzhou is located on the border, and its strength must not be short. It's too much. Just give me a discount and ask for recruitment. The emperor won't disagree. It's his father, but he just uses the name of emperor. His eyes are cool and plain, as if he is used to calling the emperor when there is no one. Although she was not the original owner of the body, in the final analysis, Emo Shanghua was also a person who had been betrayed by her family. She had some understanding of this kind of emotion, so she didn't ask any more questions. She just nodded thoughtfully. So it seems that we can go back to Yuzhou now just by waiting for Yan Moli and Liangqing to send the news of conquering Anzhou. That's nature. After talking about the important things, Yanbei City turned into the wanton Qingyu of the old days, drinking with his wine cup. Emo Shanghua was injured and couldn't drink, so she had a quiet meal next to him. For a moment, they also had a sense of tranquility. The next day their analysis came true. Early in the morning when he was killed yesterday, Yuzhou, who could not find out anything, came the news, saying that the mobs in Yuzhou could not resist, but had surrendered, captured 2,000 mobs, took down Anzhou city, and Yan Moli had already stationed in the city. Did your second highness say, "What should we do now?" Emo Shanghua looked at the soldiers kneeling in the corridor and asked softly. The soldier bowed his head and said truthfully, "Return to the princess, your highness has ordered, saying that he will deal with the remnant. Now the prince and princess can return to Yuzhou by themselves." The bottom of the flower eyes on the street was a little dark, but there was no difference on the face. He only said, "I know you can step back." Yan Beiqing sat leisurely on the corridor for a moment. Seeing that the messenger had gone far away, he said slowly, "Does the princess think that we should go back now?" On the street, his eyes drooped slightly. He seemed to be thinking about something. But for a moment he raised them again. "Let's go to Anzhou." When Yan Moli received the news that flowers from the city of Yanbei had come to Anzhou, the gloom in his eyes immediately overflowed. "Where are they now?" The person who replied raised his eyes to see Yan Moli, and spoke very carefully. "Your Highness, you have been invited to the hall. Do you want to inform General Zhang that they will go there together?" For a long time, Yan Moli just pressed down the gloom in his eyes and said, "No, I'm going to pass." When Yan Moli arrived in the main hall, Yan Beiqing and Emo Shanghua had been waiting for a long time. He quickly apologized and said, "Let the emperor's younger brother and the princess wait for a long time. We'll take tea instead of wine in our hall and punish ourselves with a cup." Then he took up the tea on the table and drank it. Seeing this, Yan Beiqing also stood up and said with a smile, "Brother Huang, this is the way to see the outside world." Even the whole family should abide by the etiquette. By the way, I heard that the emperor's younger brother met a group of people who were insidious in the North City yesterday. He lost a lot of money and had to go to Liangqing to take refuge. Why didn't he go back to Yuzhou to rest first? And why did he have to start this mess again? Yan Mo's face was warm and calm, and his voice was also warm and moist. He was like two people who took human life when he raised his hand and covered his face yesterday. Yan Beiqing smiles and turns his eyes to the flowers on the street. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua didn't shirk her shyness at all. She said, "The Lord wants to go back and have a rest. He just thinks that His Highness is still here to clean up the mess, but we have to go back to enjoy our leisure. I'm sorry, so I come here quickly to help him clean up the mess." Yan Beiqing agreed and nodded. What the princess said is very true. How can we abandon our brother? Just in time. We can also wait for our father's will together. Our king has lost a lot of soldiers this time. Brother, you must speak well in front of our father and let him make up for us. Yan Mo's eyes were gloomy, but his face was still smiling, as elegant as the breeze. I know you've lost a lot. There's something wrong with me. I didn't expect that. In this way, I should ask my father to give you more rewards. Yan Beiqing was so happy that he took his teacup and said, "In this way, I will be relieved. In this way, I will also take tea instead of wine. I'd like to thank Brother Wang first." Then, like Yan Mo, he drank all the tea in his hand. Yan Mo's lips cape smile not to reduce. Emperor younger brother is also so polite. I heard that 2,000 people were captured this time. I wonder if your highness has figured out how to deal with them? Two people are saying, and then sit next to a long time on the flower suddenly open mouth, broke the seemingly harmonious situation. When Yan Beiqing heard the speech, he also said carelessly, "There are so many people. It's really a headache to think about it. Brother Huang, why don't you say that I'm a deputy commander? I didn't make much effort this time. If you don't help me at this time, it would be unfair for those brothers." Having said that, Yan Moli seemed to be in danger if he refused to talk about it. He said, "Naturally, it's in accordance with the law. Those who make trouble will be brought back to the imperial city, and the rest will be used as labor when their father and emperor are in power. The real people who know about it are all his people. He has already sent people to solve the future trouble. Now the people who are captured above the surface, the people who make trouble and the important leaders are just scapegoats. As for the rest, they are the real people who have been captured by the innocent people. What they know is that they are the same as the outside world. Strictly speaking, Yan Moli really has nothing to fear. However, thinking of yesterday's plan, he couldn't help but be a little more wary of Huayan North City, and didn't say too much. Mo Shanghua's face remained unchanged, and she continued to ask gradually and circularly, "I don't know where your highness wants to take people to do servitude." Yan Mo's eyebrows moved, and after a moment's pause he immediately asked, "I'm not hiding from the princess, but I'm worried about it now. There is no place for the imperial court to supervise the production near Anzhou. What's more, these 2,000 people are not a small number. For a moment, they are really very upset. Since the princess has been in Yuzhou for several months, she must have known all about Yuzhou. May I have a talk about them?" Mo Shanghua was married to Yuzhou as a woman, not a general. It's not surprising that she knows all about things outside the government. Mo Shanghua's lips are slightly raised, and he smiles modestly. "I'm in the palace all day. How can I know about things outside the palace? However, when I just came out, I was thinking about it all the time. I went out of my way to ask the garrison officers and soldiers in Liangqing, but I really got some questions. According to that officer and soldier, the nearest and the biggest place for military service is in Yuzhou. It seems that it is in a place called Jiangjun. It is said that this place is rich in mineral resources, so it needs many military personnel." During the conversation, she has been staring at Yan Moli, but if you look at her carefully, there is nothing different on her face. It's just the way when she looks at others politely while talking with fishmen. But Yan Moli's heart suddenly shakes. She feels that she seems to know something, especially when she mentions Jiangjun. But the matter of Jiang County was extremely confidential. How could she know it? It was impossible. He must have thought too much. After a moment, Yan Mo shook his head and said, "It's not right. Jiangjun is 2 days away from here. There are too many captives. The loss of the emperor's younger brother is too heavy. I'm afraid there are no more people to watch these people on the road. If they are rebellious, there will be another trouble on the road. It's a disaster. Hearing this, Yan Beiqing was puzzled and said, When I came from Yuzhou, I counted 8,000 people. Although I counted all the 3,000 people, I didn't think the loss of my brother was heavy. There were hundreds of people left in my brother's place. So the total number of people should be more than the prisoners. How can I not see it? Is it too much for you? Brother, every word and deed is a full confusion. As if they really don't understand Yan Moli's words, so people can't see half a flaw. Yan Moli didn't intend to return the rest of the troops, but he didn't have time to mention his good excuse. Now he suddenly mentioned it, and his lips suddenly froze. He didn't know how to respond. The flowers on the street are watching, and the corners of their lips are silent. In an instant, they are smoothed again, as if nothing happened just now. This Yanbei city, playing as a pig and eating a tiger, is really not ambiguous. It puts Yan Moli in an awkward place. When Yan Beiqing saw that Yan Moli didn't speak, he frowned and thought about it. Then he suddenly stood up as if he had thought of something and said, Brother, you don't want to take my soldiers from Yuzhou to escort those mob leaders. You can't do anything about it. It's a capital crime to lead troops into the imperial city without permission. Brother, you're going to trap the king for injustice. No, I can't promise. Yan Moli didn't expect that he had been advising Bao Dandy all these days, and he was submissive to him. Yan Beiqing, who was the leader of the party, suddenly appeared to be rebellious. His face was in a mess for a moment, and then he quickly adjusted it. He laughed awkwardly. How could Brother Huang think so? I just forgot to tell you that Anzhou City was destroyed. Some mobs are burning, killing and looting. They are almost dead. The king wants them to stay and help repair the land of Anzhou. After finishing the repair, they will be returned to you. Why bother so much? Hearing this, Mo Shanghua came forward and said, Many of these people are forced to be captured, not out of their own wishes. In my opinion, it's better to let those people who are not out of their own wishes go home, so that Anzhou can regain some of its anger and not be completely reduced to a dead city. As for the rest of them, it's better to let them also work and repair in Anzhou, and send our Yuzhou soldiers to supervise again. When the repair is finished, we will bring these people back to Yuzhou to serve along the way. Yan Beiqing immediately looked at Yan Moli with a look of approval. The princess's method can be described as killing two birds with one stone. Brother, according to the king, it's better to do this. It also saves you and me trouble. What do you think? Anyway, it's really a wonderful way. Yan Mo Lisher had no reason to refuse, so he had to nod his head. It's really a good way to kill two birds with one stone. In that case, let's do it like this. As for the generals who are left to supervise and manage, I think they will be sent. Just send a deputy general, brother. You don't know how brave this deputy general is. If he hadn't fought with General Mo, I might have lost my life to tell you this now. Before Yan Mo's words were finished, Yan Beiqing directly interrupted him and killed his idea of sending one of his own people to supervise him. The most important thing is that he is the general of Yuzhou. He must be able to command his original subordinates, which should be more convenient. The two of them blocked all the words Yan Moli wanted to say. With such tacit understanding, there was a feeling that the husband and wife were consistent with each other. Now Yan Moli, their partner, was in a delicate mood. He couldn't help scratching a gloomy color in his eyes. His hands under the table were tight and silent for a few seconds. He said suddenly, Since the emperor's younger brother and younger sister have already thought of a good candidate, there is absolutely no reason for the palace to refuse. Let's do as you say. Well, since they want it, he will give it to them. Anyway, they will never dig something out of it. As for those disabled soldiers in Yanbei City, don't worry, just take it as the way he left for them. Yanbei City, Mo Shanghua, I want to see what kind of pattern you can make. Yan Beiqing didn't know what he thought in his heart. He just laughed contentedly and said with a smile, So I have nothing important to do. What else can I do for my brother? There are no important things for the time being. They are all unimportant things. It's not worth worrying about. Yan Emoli shook his head, a faint smile. Right, since the emperor's younger brother is going to wait for his father's will here, I'll send someone to arrange for you to leave a residence here. Don't worry, Your Highness. As soon as Yan Mo's voice fell, Emo Shanghua immediately retorted, for fear that he would pass the order. I have arranged a residence in Liangqing with the Lord, and there are many wounded people waiting for me to treat in Liangqing. If you are in Anzhou, it will be inconvenient. The two places are not far away. If Your Highness has something important, just send someone to inform you. Yan Beiqing smiles again. The princess said well, and Liangqing's delicacies are also good. If the emperor brother is free, he will try it. Now this place is so deserted, the emperor brother still doesn't want to stay here all the time. It seems to be a kind word, but it seems to say that you are suffering here. I'm going to have fun in Liangqing. Yan Moli's eyes twitched a little, and he resisted the impulse to sweep the two out of the house immediately. He said with a smile, in that case, we won't leave you here. As for the emperor's brother's good intentions, we have also learned from him. When we are free in the future, we will certainly go and have a look. It's very unpleasant to get along with these two people today. As he was about to find a way to leave, he heard Emo Shanghua suddenly say, how can the bodyguard who is following His Highness Chang Ri disappear today? Yan Emoli Mao bottom of the evil once again sink a few minutes. The face is just dark complexion way. He has been in a station yesterday, unfortunately station dead. It's a pity that the bodyguard was so good at martial arts that he died yesterday, he said after a pause. She just changed her voice. Now it's time to change the dressing. I have to go back and stare. I won't stay long. There is something important to deal with in this hall, so I won't send it. Yan Moli just stood up and gave a little smile. Brother, stay here. Yan North City smiled to sing of Wei voice, then lead the Emo Shang flower. Two people go together. When they went away, the smile on Yan Mo's face was slowly put away. A layer of cloud covered his handsome face, and the evil color in his eyes could not be removed. Somebody. As soon as the voice fell, a soldier came in. See Your Highness. He stared at the empty door in front of him without expression and said, go and invite General Zhang to our study. I'll go later. Yes. Emo Shanghua wanted to ride a horse by herself, but she just got on the back of the horse. Yan Beiqing shamelessly followed her and sat behind him like this, holding the reins in both hands, and naturally put her in his arms. Emo Shanghua is not as weak as she was yesterday. She subconsciously wants to struggle. Before she has time to move, Yan Beiqing seems to have expected that she will behave like this. She says, the princess's injury is not complete. It's not proper to ride alone. I think you just came here with a reluctance. I'd better let you accompany me. Otherwise I'll touch the wound, and I'll be happy again it hurts. Having said that, she had no chance to break away from him because his arms were like a wall of iron. Emo Shanghua really can't help it, so he can only ride with him obediently. However, thinking of his words, he can't help cursing, rascal. That's a great rascal who likes you. Yan Beiqing laughed very usefully. He deliberately put his lips to her ears and opened his mouth low. All of a sudden, her ears turned red and she was too shy to speak. In the middle of the journey, Emo Shanghua's shyness faded a lot. He lowered his voice and said in a voice that only two people could hear. Since Yan Moli has sent people to direct and perform himself, there must be some insiders among those prisoners. You must send people to watch them these days, and never let them contact with the outside world, so that those insiders can be found by Yan Moli and wait for Yan Moli leaving Anzhou. I'm in the process of careful investigation. On the surface of Yan Beiqing, he was still in a state of wandering mind, but the words in his mouth were completely opposite to his unorthodox appearance. I'll send someone to watch him, just rest assured. The emperor decreed that Yan Moli, the second prince, had made great contributions to pacify the rebellion in Anzhou and saved all the people. He was granted the title of Prince Ling, and returned to Beijing a few days later to escort the leader of the rebellion army back to Beijing. The Prince Yu helped pacify the rebellion, and rewarded him with thousands of taels of gold. He was specially authorized to recruit soldiers again. Soon he sent inspectors to accompany him to drill. The rest of the generals were promoted to one level, give 100 taels of gold. The eunuch sent by the imperial city stood in front of the crowd and spoke slowly in a sharp voice, reading out the emperor's will in front of the crowd. There are so many people who have been granted official posts. Only Yan Beicheng can get away with it with only a few rewards. Although he is allowed to recruit soldiers and buy horses, it's really annoying to send an inspector over. However, Yan Beicheng could not reveal anything on his face. He could only accept the imperial edict with the crowd. And Yan Moli's heart is not too happy. It's not that he's not happy, it's just that this will, he's not happy. Although the emperor's edict stated that he would be granted the title of King Ling, it didn't say that he would be granted land. What's the use of a king without land? In the imperial city at that time, the emperor was taking a painting of a famous artist to appreciate, and the color of his worries a few days ago disappeared. His Second Highness calmed down the rebellion in Anzhou, and the emperor's mood got better. While holding a lamp, Lu Wing began to laugh. The emperor's eyes didn't leave from the picture scroll, and he didn't lift his head. Now it's King Ling, yes. Lu Wing answered and sighed. For so many years, I've been used to calling old slaves. Now it's hard to avoid some unpleasantness. However, the old slave did not understand why the emperor only gave him a title, but did not enfeoffment his highness. The emperor then glanced at Lu Wang, his eyes as deep as a well. You talk too much. Lu Wang's face suddenly turned white, and he knelt down. I know my mistake. The emperor put down his picture scroll and looked forward. After a while he said, Fiefdom, this matter needs to be considered. With that, he put down the scroll in his hand and went to the bedroom on the other side with his negative hand. Call me again at lunch. I'm tired. Yes. Lu Wang's head fell down on the ground. When the emperor went away, he dared to stand up straight, but he patted his cheek and said, Let you talk. The emperor's will has been given, and new officials and Wang's deputy generals in Anzhou will deal with it. Naturally, Yan Beicheng and Mo Shanghua have no reason to stay, and they set out to return to the palace on the day the will was given. As for Yan Moli, he also returned to the imperial city early, and the intersection of several people ended temporarily. After dealing with the affairs in Anzhou, Mo Shanghua and Yan Beicheng were much more relaxed. They took advantage of this rare time to steal some leisure time, playing and driving on the road. Originally, they were able to arrive in one day, but they were forced to walk for 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 days ago, all the people in the mansion received the news. They thought that Mo Shanghua in Yanbei City would come back the next day. Unexpectedly, they didn't come back after several days, which made some women in the mansion unhappy. But when they came back, all the people in the house came out to meet them, except Pingji, who was forbidden to stay in the hospital. See ye princess Wan Fu. Get up. Yan Beicheng took the lead to get down from the carriage. Seeing that all the people were kneeling down to salute, he waved his hand at will. Then he quickly turned around and reached out to the rear of the carriage. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang glances at the crowd and catches a glimpse of Nan. He's standing in front of the crowd. He can't help thinking of his status as a side imperial concubine now. His heart suddenly stops. Su Shou, who wanted to be in Yan Beicheng's hand, also takes it back and gets out of the carriage with his skirt. Yan Beicheng didn't feel embarrassed. He just felt a little puzzled and couldn't help looking at the flowers on the street. Ming Ming was fine 2 days ago. How come she's like this again today? What's the matter with this woman? Mo Shanghua did not look back at him, but walked to the door of the mansion. Just walked to the door of the mansion, then see Qinya full face smile of welcome up, in front of her blessing a body. Slave Qinya to the princess please. Mo Shanghua personally raised her hand and touched the top of her hairy hair. The corners of her lips also contained a smile. Get up quickly. I haven't taken care of you for decades. I'm really not used to it. I miss the princess these days. Qinya's eyebrow eyes all smile of curved, just eyebrow eyes but from time to time toward her behind Piao. I think you miss your brother more. Mo Shanghua nodded her bright and clean forehead. Qin Lin went to the backyard to tie the horse. Go, I'll give you half a day off. Qin Yaden was overjoyed. He was so busy that he said, Thank you, princess. Finished saying, This just full of contained smile of retreated to go down. Seeing that Qinya has gone far away, she is looking at Nanha and others who are still standing at the gate of the mansion. She glanced at Nanha's ruddy and healthy cheek and said, Nanji, no, it's Nampiafai. You look so good recently. You must be much better. Nanhi nodded, his voice was soft and elegant. These days, my maidservant and concubine are still in the hospital. I feel better. Between words, there is no sharpness before, every word indeed, just like the first general, respectful but not humble. Xueji seems to be well. The flower on the street only needs to see the south crane, so it's hard to avoid unhappiness in her heart. She simply shifts her eyes to see Xueji behind the south crane. Xuejixing's delicate and thin. At this time CMO Shanghua smell himself. Busy droop head blessing body. Made concubine body already good all, Lao princess worried. Since everyone is very well and nothing is wrong, Lord, I will go back first. Mo Shanghua nodded gently, then turned to face Yan Beicheng. Yan Beicheng's sword eyebrows could not help wrinkling and looked at her in a puzzled way. Everyone is very good. What does it have to do with you going back first? The ruddy lip petals of the flowers on the street are gently pursed, and the eyes have never opened. South Crane ordered people to prepare a reception banquet. Two people are not good. No one will go. Yin North City had no choice but to nod. Just if you want to go back, then go back first. I'll see you later. Mo Shanghua is relieved. When he turns around and leaves, Mao Guang glances at Nan He, but he only does nothing. He doesn't see anything. He walks around him. Women's intuition has always been extremely keen. When Mo Shanghua just glanced at her, and when she got out of the carriage, she deliberately staggered Yan Beicheng's hand, which could not escape the eyes of Nan He. Thinking of this, she can't help but gently lift up an imperceptible radiance on the corner of her lips. It seems that what she did before worked. Qinya and Qinlin were given half a day off just now. When Mo Shanghua went back to the hospital, she found that in addition to their brother and sister, there was Yan Beicheng. She really had no one to speak to, and she had nothing to do when she came back. For the first time, I felt lonely in my heart. Is sitting in the courtyard daydream. The door suddenly rang out the voice of the servant girl. Princess, Dr. Lu outside to see. She has just returned to the mansion. How did Lu Zheng come at this time? If there is anything, she will ask for help at this time. Mo Shanghua felt a little uneasy in her heart and said, Please come in. Yes. After a while, Lu Zheng came in under the guidance of the servant girl. After seeing the ceremony, Lu Zheng looked at his face and saw that his brow was slightly wrinkled, and his face was tinged with a bit of sadness. He was immediately puzzled. What's the matter with you? Is there something wrong in the house? If so, when she just returned to the mansion, Nanha would certainly report back in person. But just now, Nanha didn't mention anything else, and the mansion looked like a world of peace. It didn't look like something big happened. Seeing this, Lu Zheng sighed for a long time and then said, Princess, I know you've been on the road for a few days. I shouldn't disturb your rest at this time. It's just that this matter can't be delayed. Speaking of this, his words suddenly stopped. Princess or with Micro-Minister went to Cloud Ji that place to have a look. But what happened to Yunji? Mo Shanghua heart a jump, subconsciously asked. I'll know when the princess goes with me. Lu Zheng did not give a positive answer, but said so. Mo Shanghua, who is very puzzled, follows Lu Zheng to Yunji's room. The maid who is in charge of taking care of Yunji sees that they are coming. She goes forward to salute. Her face is as usual, and she can't see any difference. In this way, she becomes more and more confused. But when you see Yunji lying on the bed with her eyes closed, as if she is just falling into sleep, the face of Mo Shanghua suddenly changes. She takes 3 steps and 2 steps to Yunji's bed, pulls her hand out of the quilt, and puts one hand on her wrist. Sure enough, there was no sign of beating between the wrists. Dead. The flower willow eyebrow on the street suddenly deep a see-you, full of eyes dignified. When is it? Lu Zheng's brow was also tightly locked, and a touch of sadness hung on his face. He said, Just a few days ago. The little girl who took care of Yunji came to me and said that Yunji was ill. Let me go and have a look. I didn't see it right, so I was busy. At that time, Yunji was lying on the bed, dying. This person has something to do with your previous affair, so I disbanded her and put some spices on her body, so that her body can be preserved. It seems that her appearance is no different from that of sleeping, so I cheated others. Emo Shanghua didn't speak. She got up and took a look at Yunji's eyelids. Then she checked her carefully. The dark color in her eyes became more and more heavy. Poisoned? It seems that someone wants to take advantage of my absence to impose a charge on me. The first person in her mind is Nanha. In such a big mansion, the one who hates her most must be Nanha. Lu Zheng saw that she was gazing at me and didn't know what she was thinking. He could not help reminding her. The most important thing now is to find out the truth quickly. People die with you, and you are always taking care of them. No matter whether there is any evidence that you are responsible for the poison or not, you may not be able to escape from it. I know. Emo Shanghua nodded, and was about to call in the girl who was in charge of taking care of Yunji. Unexpectedly, the little girl came in first. Report back to the princess, the prince and the South Princess and the Snow Lady. As soon as the voice fell, Yan Beiqing and his party came in with a smile on their lips. Princess. Yunji's body is still lying here. It seems that we have to face it ahead of time. Thinking of this, she simply got up and walked to Yan Beiqing. She was blessed in front of him and said, Lord, I want to apologize to you. Excuse me? What kind of sin do you invite? Yan Beiqing looked at Emo Shanghua with a blank face, completely unable to understand what she was saying. Xueji, who had a very weak sense of existence before, saw this and said, Yes, I heard that the princess had saved a lot of people before the battle. She made a contribution, but now she has to plead guilty. And South Crane, it is rare, very quiet, stand on one side, look unknown. Emo Shanghua looks at Yunji on the bed behind him and says, I've committed the crime of improper care. Just now I came back. I wanted to give Yunji a routine pulse diagnosis, but I didn't realize that she had been dead for several days. When I asked, I learned that it was Imperial Dr. Lu who saw that there was no principal in the house these days, so he sealed up the body for the time being. After a pause, she simply lifted her skirt and knelt down on the ground. Although I'm not in the government these days, I'm also guilty of dereliction of duty. The Lord can punish me for such a charge. However, both Lu Yu and I have checked that Yunji died of poisoning. The person behind this chose to poison me a few days after I left. It's punishable. I hope the Lord will find out this matter, and give me a clear answer, and give Yunji a safe life. Yunji has been doing well these days, but she was poisoned after she left. Anyone with some brains might mistakenly think that it was the poison from Mom Shengua. So as to understand what happened before, and then clear the charge by saying that she is not in the government at this time. The person behind this is really well-intentioned. Thinking about this, she couldn't help glancing at the South Crane behind Yan Beiqing. However, as if he didn't notice her eyes, Nanhe just stood behind Yan Beiqing with a low eyebrow, as if he was not half curious about anything. Yan Beiqing noticed the eyes of Emo Shanghua, and his eyes also swept the South Crane quietly. His face was smiling, and he finally noticed the corpse of Yunji on the bed. There's such a thing. Xueji's face was also full of surprise. His eyes could not help looking at Yunji's ruddy cheek. He sighed at Lu Zheng's medical skill in his heart and said, I have been in the house for so many days, but I don't know. If you want to punish me, you may as well treat me together. Said also raised the skirt to put on the street. The flower side knelt down. She and this Xueji didn't have much in common in the past. This Xueji used to recuperate in the government. How could she suddenly be so determined to help herself today? The flower's eyes on the street are tinged with suspicion. She can't help but look at Xueji more. However, her eyes are firm and clear, and there is no false meaning. It seems that she really wants to live and die together with herself. The suspicion in her heart is even more serious. Yan Beiqing also took a look at Xueji and pondered for a long time before he stepped forward to help Mo Shanghua up. He looked at Mo Shanghua with great trust and looked like a spoiled girl. It's obvious that someone is deliberately setting up the princess and wants to cause injustice to the princess. What's wrong with me? Lord, this matter must not be decided so rashly. Nanha, who had been filling the air behind him, saw that Yan Beiqing was so partial, so he stepped forward 2 steps and said, Yunji is still related to the innocence of the princess and me. As soon as she died, the previous affair completely disappeared, and the innocence of the princess and me can't be discussed. It's all a matter of no clue. How can we find out? Yan Beiqing's soared eyebrows picked, and quite naturally said, People's death is like the light out. From my point of view, the previous things just went to earth with Yunji. But Yunji's death is close at hand, so we need to explore it carefully. Otherwise, she is afraid that she will die and will not live in peace. South Crane How also didn't expect Yin North City this time after coming back, unexpectedly to Mo Shanghua more indulgence dote on. The heart suddenly tight for a while. Can't help biting lip way. Since the king has his own opinion on this matter, that maidservant concubine nature has no side to say, all depend on the king is. When is Nanha so easy to talk? It's a bit strange. Mo Shanghua was more and more confused in her heart. She thought about it in her heart and began to explore. My lord, I've been suspicious of what happened before with my side imperial concubine. If we don't find out, our reputation will be affected in the future. Southern imperial concubine, don't you think so? The South Crane again astringes next eye, light way. Maidservant concubine thinks, Wang Ye's words are reasonable. This matter even if in pursue, afraid also pursue not so, now or at present of matter. Smell speech. Snow Ji also busily followed to insert a. Maidservant concubine also thinks so. In that case, I immediately ordered people to go down to investigate. Yen North City nodded. Mao Guang swept a circle in the house, voice sank a few minutes. Your own slave's mouth. You also want to manage well, before the matter has not decided. I don't want to hear any rumors in the house. Yes. Everyone should be in unison, no one dares to say more. After Yan Beiqing left this sentence, he immediately ordered people to go down to investigate. He wanted to stay here for a while, but before he could speak, a young man called him away, saying that he had something to report. As soon as he left, there were only Mo Shanghua, Nanha and Xueji left in the house. Seeing that Yanbei City had gone, Nanhe felt that there was no need to leave behind, so he said, I think the princess will have to deal with the remnant here for a while. So my maid and concubine will not be here to make trouble for the princess, so I will leave. Hold on. Before walking a few steps, Mo Shanghua stopped her, went to her side, lowered her voice and said, Are you satisfied with the result? At the moment, Yan Beiqing is not here, and Nanhe is not going to keep acting. There is a bit of sarcasm and provocation in her eyes, and she also lowers her voice and says, It's up to the king to be satisfied. Instead of worrying about it, I think the princess is worried about who the prince will stay with these days. After a pause, she glanced at Xueji who was not far behind the flowers in the street. The harvest you got this time is not small. Even the slaves have sent them to the door by themselves. The princess has to watch. It's not good to be bitten any other day. With that, she retreated 2 steps, blessed a gift, and then left. The flower on the street is looking at the figure of the South Crane, which is gradually moving away. I can't help thinking about it in my eyes. Now she's a little confused. What's the purpose of Nanha's doing this? Is it hard to succeed? She's worried that she's finally cured Yunji, and her previous affairs won't come to an end? Or, deliberately provoking her, telling her that her current ability has already been able to easily insert people into her yard. If she can poison Yunji today, she will be able to poison her another day? Just after thinking about it, Xueji came up and said, The princess must have suffered a lot before she went to the battle. Look, you are a little thinner. I ordered someone to send you some dong yijiao. If the princess is not too crude, you can use it to take care of her son. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang falls on Snowji body, toward her tiny nod. So thank you. After a few seconds she said, But you have never met me before. Why did you have to go through this together with me? Xueji's plain white cheek was a little surprised. Did the princess forget? My concubine had been ill suddenly in the house before, and I couldn't find a doctor to treat her. You came to see her before. Although I have been ill since then, I always remember her feelings. Mo Shanghua frowned and searched carefully in her brain. After a while, she finally found some micro-pictures about this matter in her brain. She couldn't help but smile. It's like this. In this case, I'll accept all your good intentions. The princess is like this. The maidservant concubine in the heart just passed the idea of go. Xueji's face also stirred up a smile, a little elegant, a little quiet. Maidservant concubine also don't disturb the purity of the princess, leave first. Said slightly blessing a gift, respectfully back down. The flower Mao color on the MO just slightly sinks, the idea in the heart keeps turning. Before she went to see Snow Ji that time, just simply looked at it. Even the medicine has not been prescribed, or can talk about what great kindness. After returning to the government this time, there are so many anomalies and the pattern has changed so much that I'm afraid there will be many troubles in the future. What are you going to do with it? Just thinking, Lu Jing suddenly came to her side and pointed to Yanji's body on the bed. Mo Shanghua just came back to her mind. The light of her eyes fell on Yanji's body along Lu Jing's direction. Keep the body for 2 days to cooperate with the people brought by the Lord. After these days, bury it. Qinya, have you ever seen any suspicious people come to Wuyuan these days? Qinya hasn't had a rest for half a day, but she is pulled back in advance by Mo Shanghua. Qinya just knew that something like this had happened. As soon as she asked, she knelt down and felt guilty. Princess, I'm not good at taking care of you. I haven't seen anyone suspicious. I haven't found anything unusual about Mrs. Yun. Please punish me so much. There was no sense of blame on the flower face on the street, saying, if someone has the heart to start, you are an ordinary woman, who has no martial arts on her body. It's normal that you can't find it. Don't blame you. You get up first. I have something else to ask you. Yes, the maid knows. The princess can ask. Qinya weakly should be is still a pair of guilty appearance. Mo Shanghua looked at her helplessly and thought about it. She still wanted to solve the problem herself. She didn't say any more. She only asked, I'll ask you again. Have people come to the hospital these days? Have the South Imperial concubine and Xueji ever been here? Qinya dropped her eyes and thought about it carefully. After a while, she said, except for the servants who came to use the monthly silver, no one has ever come to the hospital these days. My maid heard that Mrs. Nan has been in her own hospital all these years. She has never gone out of her own hospital. She is very peaceful. The flower on the street taps on the table with a rhythmic hand, with a kind of thoughtful color in her eyes. She is not worried about the final result of this matter. After all, Yan Beiqing has left a message at the moment, so she must have just found a substitute for the crime. She is just thinking South Crane. At present, she was more and more curious about the South Crane. Before Yan Beiqing was so fond of her. How did he suddenly change his attitude recently? Of course, the most important thing is the purpose of this matter. The identity of Nanha must not be as simple as it seems. Now the only one who can solve her doubts must be that one. As soon as Xiao Mo Hua comes back, he will run to me, but my heart and liver ache when I think about you. Hua Qianlu shakes the folding fan in her hand, and walks into the ready elegant room with a smile. She is wearing a loose green robe, which makes the whole person more and more fussy. Mo Shanghua glanced at him lightly, then poured a glass of wine in front of him. You've just been set on fire, and now you're in full swing. Hua Qianlu walked to her and sat down. She said with a smile, who is my son, but it's just a little trouble. I can't make money all the time. After a pause, he took out a small stack of banknotes from his sleeve, and put them in front of Mo Shanghua. This is the dividend you should get from the grain shop in Wujuan in recent months. Here, take it. Mo Shanghua looked down at the banknotes on the table. Before counting them, he pushed them back to Hua Qianlu. Take these, I want to ask you to buy a message. Hua Qianlu didn't look at the silver note on the table. Instead, he continued to shake the folding fan of his saw bow and sighed. It's true that everything is going to go to the Three Treasures Hall. Xiaoma Hua, you will be very sad. You talk a lot of rubbish. Mo Shanghua has long been used to Hua Qianliu's nature, so she simply ignored it and said, I want to know the real identity of Nanhe. In terms of Nanha's former tone and her martial arts, she can never be an ordinary brothel girl. I can't say it's just a fake identity. Smell speech. The flower thousand willow shakes the hand of folding fan Shu of Emil. If the side pour all right, only this matter, this child really can't promise you. Why? The flower eyebrow heart suddenly slightly frown up, subconscious inquiry. Hua Qianliu's lips slightly lifted up and gave her a meaningful smile. I once told you that you still need to ask your good husband about this. In short, I won't tell you. With that, he pushed the banknote back to the front of Mo Shanghua, with a look of regret on his face. It's a pity that you can't earn money in front of you. For me it's heartbreaking. The ruddy lip petals of the flowers on the street are gently pursed, and there are some complicated colors in her quiet eyes. I can't see what she is thinking about. Flower thousand willow toward her move buttocks under the six-corner stool toward Mo up flower side lean on. Stare at her face, pick eyebrow to ask. How still for this matter heart mustard? What are you talking about? The flower eyes on the street once crossed the color of concealment, and one hand crossed in front of the flower willows. What are you doing so near? Hua Qianlu stepped back angrily, habitually took the folding fan in his hand and said, For your sake, I'll tell you something. No matter what you think in your heart and what Nanha has done, your status will not be shaken. Brother Beiqing is more interested in you than anyone else, so you can rest assured. He always likes to stare at people when he talks, but now when he says this, his eyes are glancing to one side. The look in his eyes is dim, not as bright as usual. It seems that he is saying something unhappy. However, Mo Shanghua didn't see anything strange. She just pinched her palm and said something right and wrong. I'm not thinking about this. There are still important things to deal with in the government, so I'll go back first. Having said that, the next second she got up, completely like she wanted to leave after she got the answer she wanted. Hua Qianlu looks at the wine cup on the opposite seat, and the empty seat. She no longer smiles. She raises her hand to take the wine cup and drinks it. I had a day when I pushed women to other people, but I was not happy. He was holding the wine cup, whispering. Eyes color did not just cover, more gloomy and cold. After spending a while in Chenghuan Pavilion, he felt that something was wrong behind him. He quietly looked back and saw that in the dark, there was a man who was very fat and could not see his face clearly. He was staggering behind him. It seemed that he had just gone to Chenghuan Pavilion together, and had drunk a few more cups. The flower on the street didn't want to pay attention, just wanted to speed up the pace to leave, but the man suddenly called her. Stop. Girl, I've been with you for a long time, and my legs are sore. Don't you come here and wait on me? Mo Shanghua didn't change her clothes today, but how to get into the palace and how to wear clothes. She is just like a woman now, but she didn't expect to encounter such trouble. After thinking about it, she stopped. How do you want me to serve you? Of course, hiccup, hee 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 hee. The man came forward with a burp and a smile. Just as he was about to touch the shoulder of the flower, a group of people dressed like little fellows came up behind him. Second master, it's bad. Something's wrong. The group of people yelled and chased him in his direction. The action on the man's hands and feet suddenly turned away with an unhappy face. Which son of a bitch is shouting here? If it's bad for you, can you afford it? It's nothing if it's too far away. Why do you feel familiar at such a close distance? Strange in the heart of Mo Shanghua. She simply turned around to see what happened. However, the person in front of her suddenly changed her face, turned around and wanted to go. The man also saw her face when he turned around on the street. The wine suddenly woke up most of the time. He quickly widened his eyes and exclaimed, Stop her, please stop her quick. Although the hearts of the boys are not clear, they still rush forward according to the words and surround the flowers in the street. The man then hurried to the flower in front of the street, grabbed a lantern in the hand of a boy, and looked at it carefully. Then he opened his mouth maliciously. It's really you. I didn't expect that you were a woman, and I let a smelly girl play around. The flower on the street also squinted to see the sound in front of him. Seeing his face full of flesh and intestines full of belly, his face could not help coagulating. The person in front of her is Wu Cheng, who she made an appointment with in order to get Jiang He. Although Yen Moli bought Jiang He in the end, Wu Cheng must have reflected all the situations she had set up in order to buy Jiang He. What's more, Yen Moli steals back the gold quietly after he gets Jiang He, which makes Wu Cheng Kai empty. He doesn't hate it more. When did her luck come to such a bad point? Yen Moli was so light that she left easily after the accident. She didn't know it. On the contrary, it was her. But when she came out to ask something, she could meet the client so skillfully. In the heart of a quick measurement, Mo Shanghua simply made up his mind, pretended to be confused, looked at Wu Cheng and others with a blank face. This master, what are you talking about? Me, did I do something wrong? Smelly girl, you are still pretending to be stupid. Wu Cheng's face was dark, and the flesh on his face was shaking with his jaw as he spoke, which made him look more fierce. Before you found someone to cheat me, saying that Jiang He was not worth money in your country, which made me turn around. When I saw that I didn't want to sell you, I deliberately found someone to buy it at a high price, and stole the silver quietly. This is a fairy dance. You've done me a lot of harm. I will never let you go today. It was the first time for him to ask his family to entrust him with an important task, and he encountered such a thing. We can imagine how he would be ridiculed and taught by his family when he went back. More importantly, in this way he is not qualified to compete with Dafeng. Before, he had been in Yuzhou City for half a month, but the two men he was looking for had never appeared. Now he could not let them go. You idiots, what are you still doing? Hurry to catch her. Seeing that the boy beside him still didn't move, he quickly grabbed a boy and kicked him in the ass. Seeing that he had been beaten, all the little fellows reacted to him. They could not take pity on each other. They rushed to the flowers on the street. These guys are just people who know a little about martial arts. They can't even touch half of their clothes. Therefore, she can deal with them easily. Wu Cheng saw that Mo Shanghua was surrounded by dozens of young men, and could deal with it with ease. His body was so flexible that his anger became even worse. You nonsense, two girls can't catch it. What do I usually do to raise you? If you can't catch people, you don't want any money this month. When the boys heard the words, their actions suddenly became more and more hard, but they still couldn't hurt half of the hair of the flower. Instead, they all dodged one by one, either bumping this or that, which was quite embarrassing. She didn't mean to tease them, but there were too many of them, and the alley was really narrow. She didn't mean to cause such a result. Seeing that many of the young men had fallen, she realized that the time had come. She was about to go through the wall and ran away. Suddenly, a very dignified man's voice came from her ear. Who's there? Then suddenly, a small group of people dressed as bodyguards came to the end of the alley, and the torch came this way. Oh no, it's disturbing the city guards who patrol at night. If their identity is exposed at this time, it's even more troublesome. The thought in his mind just turned, and he saw that the group of soldiers had quickly surrounded the alley. As soon as the leader saw the flowers on the street, he directly knelt down on one knee, and the people behind him immediately knelt down. I'll see the princess. Around the little guys, and even Wu Cheng, suddenly stare round eyes, face unbelievable color, still dull pestle in place. Mo Shanghua didn't speak yet. Seeing that Wu Cheng and others were still standing there, the leader yelled. You are bold and tough. Princess Yu is here. Don't kneel down and salute quickly. Wu Cheng was roared by the leader of the bodyguard, and his body trembled, along with all his flesh. He knelt down in a daze. Seeing this, all of his boys knelt down. Clearly is for their own solution around, but the flowers on the street also can't smile, eyes color instead of coagulation down. Lu Zheng was involved in her original layout. As we all know, Lu Zheng was the imperial doctor of Yu's mansion. If Lu Zheng had not appeared in this plan, she would have played a fool and killed him. But now, even if she didn't recognize him, Wu Cheng would have been able to infer it. It's amazing that a princess has done this fairy dance. If it's spread, it's really a little, it's not elegant. Get up. Although I think so in my heart, on my face, I can't reveal the flowers on the street. Princess Xia. The soldiers stood up one after another. Mo Shenghua had not been able to cure many soldiers in Anzhou before. Many people in the army had no prejudice against her, and they praised each other. Therefore, these soldiers also had great respect for Mo Shenghua. After the soldiers got up, the leader turned around and pointed to Wu Cheng, who was still kneeling on the ground and never recovered. He said, "These people dare to do something wrong to the princess. They will all be arrested and put in jail." Wu Cheng's heart was terrified, and he kept clasping his head toward the flower on the street. "Princess, princess, I don't know you are princess. I just recognized the wrong person. You can be sure that you don't remember the villain's life. Let me go." He came to Yuzhou this time to atone for his exploits. He had to go back after a certain period of time. If he was caught in this way and delayed his business, he would be completely finished this time. And Mo Shenghua thought in his heart. After a while he turned his eyes to see Lu Jing kneeling on the ground and said, "If you let go you can, but you have to watch. I'm the princess of Yuzhou. I'm a woman. Yes, it's a little clumsy. If you recognize the wrong person, princess, please don't worry about the villain." Wu Qing didn't want to, so he didn't dare to lift his head, for fear of offending Mo Shenghua. After all, it's not in their country of the moon. Now he's under the control of others. Of course, he has to know the current affairs. Mo Shenghua just got up, turned her eyes and looked at the bodyguard leader. "Since he has recognized the wrong person, you should deal with it according to the person who has recognized the wrong person. The princess will go back to the palace, and I will give it to you." "Yes." The bodyguard bowed slightly and looked respectful. "At the end, I will send someone to escort the princess back." "No need." Mo Shenghua, as in the past, stealthily went out of the house. If he went back from the front door, with the eyes of those in the house, he could not be sure how much trouble would happen. With that, without waiting for the bodyguard behind to respond, she turned and left, afraid that the soldier would be polite. Seeing that the flower on the street had gone far away, the soldier thought about it and sent someone to follow him far away. Then he turned his eyes to Wu Cheng, who was still kneeling on the ground. "Take them back, shut them up for one night and put them back tomorrow morning." Guan Yi, you can't do this. I have something to deal with, Guan Yi." Wu Cheng's mouth immediately incessantly begged for mercy, but his body was still very honest and didn't dare to struggle for half a point. Mo Shenghua has long found the soldiers who are far behind him, so he just found the chance on the way to get rid of them, and went back to the house quietly. Originally, when she went on a trip, she didn't get anything, but at least she got some peace of mind. However, she still had some doubts in her heart. Before she could come back to think about it carefully, the more intractable problems were put in front of her. Suddenly, she didn't think about what had happened before. She just thought about what she should do when the Wuqing reaction came back tomorrow. After thinking about it, there was only one clumsy way in her heart, which she didn't recognize. As long as she doesn't admit, even if Wu Cheng is how to identify, there is no evidence to show her how. At this time, Wu Cheng, who was in prison, took a long time to figure out what was going on. Today, the girl who said she was mistaken is Princess Yu. Before that, she cooperated with the little child to cheat his Dr. Lu. Isn't she working as an official in Prince Yu's mansion? What's more, that young man was thin that day, which was no different from the princess today. These two were the same person. Well, he even let this little girl to cheat twice she was playing around. Thinking of this, he could not help but rub, and stood up from the haystack, scolded. His grandmother's I planted in this girl's hands so many times. Previously, he didn't associate Lu Yui with it at all. After such calculation, the two of them colluded with each other. This little bitch, when I go out, you see how I deal with you. Even if you are the king of heaven, you must spit out the gold you swallow. In this way, if he goes back this time, he will be able to really make up for his mistakes. However, he was in prison thinking about what to do after going out one night to let Mo Shenghua return the gold and Jianghe together. But when he was released the next morning, he was almost shocked by a piece of bad news. Last night, he was separated from these boys. Yesterday he had no chance. This morning, Wuxia went back to look at the empty goods in the yard. Just as he was shocked, the leader of a boy knelt down quickly. Second master, last night, when you were away, all the people in the yard were busy except for the two guys who were looking at the goods. As a result, the result was not good. We know where a group of robbers came from and robbed our goods in silver. What silver? Silver is gone. Wuxia was very angry. He grabbed the boy's collar and said angrily, "Why didn't you say that when all the officers and soldiers were there yesterday? Otherwise, maybe we can get some back now. Even if you lose the goods, now you don't even have the money to go back, and you have to spend money on daily necessities of life in Yuzhou. If you don't have the money, I'm afraid they will be hungry early this morning." Thinking about this, the anger in his heart suddenly became more and more intense. He could not help turning around and kicking at the boy. Waste. What do I feed you for? I'll drive you out one by one when I go back." Early in the morning, the Lord called me in such a hurry. What's the matter? Emo Shanghua just got up here. Before breakfast was served, he was called by Yan Beicheng. He was naturally confused. As soon as Yan Beicheng saw the flowers coming, he felt relieved. He quickly used his hand to light the flowers and said to Emo Jiang, who was at the bottom of the head at this time, "The princess is coming. She knows more about these things than I do. Please tell her quickly. I'm very tired and dizzy now. I can't understand what you're saying at all." With that, he could not help covering his mouth and yawning, his face full of sleepiness. It's tiring to start acting early in the morning. Emo Shanghua saw him like this, silently added a sentence in his heart, and nodded slightly helplessly. "Yes, as a princess, I have the responsibility to share with the prince." Emo Jiang has no preconceptions about Emo Shanghua in his heart. What's more, the words and deeds of Emo Shanghua in his last visit to Anzhou have long changed his inherent impression of Emo Shanghua. If he had never wanted to, now he naturally has no reason to refuse. Report to the princess. It's like this. Last night, there were several robberies in the city. Many wealthy families were robbed, and many foreign businessmen were also robbed. Now they have gathered in front of the yamen in the city to discuss a story, especially the foreign businessmen in Yuegua, who are making the most trouble. If she remembers correctly, Wucheng is the person from the state of the moon. It seems that he is really relieved now. But what matters now is banditry. She frowned and thought for a while, and asked herself, so many bandits looted directly, didn't all the soldiers on patrol find out? Emo Jiang shook his head and locked his sword eyebrows tightly. A lot of generals were lost during the trip to Anzhou. Today, many generals are still in Anzhou and have not come back. The number of patrolling soldiers in the city has to be reduced by more than half. Although they asked to strengthen protection before going out, there are always places where they can't be supervised due to insufficient manpower. After a pause, he added, "However, we have checked the time of these robbers' robbery. Every time it's just the time for the night patrol soldiers to change their shifts, and they are working in many companies at the same time. It can be seen that these people should be very clear about the time of the soldiers' night patrol. At last, they will think that these people are probably Yuzhou people, and they are still hiding in the city." Emo Shanghua didn't totally agree with his words. She pursed her lips and thought about it. She couldn't help looking at Yan Beicheng. He should also have a lot of ears and eyes in the city. Maybe he got some information last night. Yan Beicheng supported his chin with his hand, and his head was nodding uncontrollably from time to time. He was obviously sleepy, and didn't notice the flowers were looking at her. How come when he pretends, he's not finished? Emo Shanghua cursed in her heart, then raised her head and said, "It should not be so simple. If you want to be imperceptible to anyone, I think these bandits' martial arts should not be weak. They are not ordinary bandits. The important thing is that he was smart enough to choose to start when Yuzhou was the weakest, trying to salvage a lot of money. The princess is right." Emo Jiang seriously thought about his words and said thoughtfully, "They should have a very comprehensive plan, but the risk of doing so is very great. Now every city gate is under martial law. The finance they robbed is likely not to be taken out at all. And it must not be spent in the city. What's the difference between this and holding a pile of scrap metal? Don't worry. How much can be achieved by doing so? Purpose. Mo Shanghua silently read it twice in his heart, and then his eyes suddenly coagulated. General Mo, please make a good statistics of the specific number of people robbed this time. And then give it to me in the list of people robbed. By the way, and the property they lost, be more specific. Just now, Mo Jiang seems to have said that most of his foreign businessmen were robbed. In this case, she has reason to suspect that someone was trying to make a big deal out of it. After all, foreign businessmen are no better than their own people. If they can't give them a satisfactory explanation, I'm afraid that in the end, envoys from other countries will personally mention this matter to the emperor. Yuzhou will happen again. At that time, Yanbei City will be implicated. Ma Jiang seems to this matter also finally thought of this layer, eyes color micro movement way. Yes, this will go to prepare the list. Said he was going to retreat, but just walked 2 steps, as if suddenly remembered something, and turned around, bent over to the flowers on the street, deeply bowed and saluted. That day's saving grace has not been thanks. Now, Ma Jiang thanks the princess here. It's just a matter of raising hands. General Mo, please get up. Similar to this kind of thanks, I don't know how many flowers I've seen on the street, but I can't see any surprise on my face. I raised my hand to help. Mo Jiang is a serious face of color, life-saving grace unforgettable. Finish saying, just with to avoid the hand of Mo Shanghua. Wu got up from the body, hugged a fist to walk again a gift, just turned round to stride down. When the people went away, there were only 2 people left in the house, who went to Yanbei City to see Yanbei City yawn again, open their eyes and look like they just woke up. Your play looks like a drug. It's addictive. Mo Shanghua sat down beside him, with a tone of banter. Acting naturally has to be one and the same. Yan Beiqing's lips were slightly crooked, and he laughed a little. How about princess? What's the chance I gave you? Do you still like it? Yes, I really like it. Mo Shanghua tries to resist the impulse of rolling his eyes, and doesn't open his mouth. After a pause, her voice changed, and she became serious again. Now is not the time to say these things. You must have heard the things just now. What's your opinion? Yan Beiqing took the teacup on the table, took off the teacup cover and played with it gently. While playing with it, he said, First, this matter has been planned for a long time. We only wait for Yuzhou's troops to lose money. Second, these people have taken care of us long ago. Although they haven't left the city, they don't know where the looted treasures are. Third, this person doesn't like me very much otherwise. I won't be able to rob a few more people from neighboring countries, and want me to be severely criticized by the emperor. After a pause, he took out a fold from his sleeve and said, Here, you have a look at this. Mo Shanghua took the spy and opened it to see that the above-mentioned thing is that bandits have been frequent in all parts of Yuzhou since these days. Many of the rich businessmen and ordinary people have encountered bandits. Now Yuzhou is in a state of panic. The more you look back at the fold, the more you frown. After reading the fold, your face becomes more and more dignified. Since the rebellion in Anzhou, bandits have been rampant in all parts of Yuzhou. It's not impossible to say that bandits are rampant only because of the sharp reduction of troops. It's just that I always feel that this matter is not as simple as it seems. Tell me about it. Yan Beiqing gathered the casual color on his face, sat up straight, and quietly listened to the deliberation of flowers on the street. Mo Shanghua walked forward slowly, and her mind also turned. It's because bandits are easy to be rampant at this time. And this is the time when it's most easy for people to take advantage of the opportunity. Wang Yi might as well think about who is the most short of money in the court now. Yanbei City drooped his eyes and thought for a moment. The color of his eyes gradually deepened. These people are really restless for a moment. Seeing Yan Beiqing like this, he must have a candidate in his heart. Seeing this, he said, It seems that the Lord has some eyes. He knows what to do with it. Just now, Mo Jiang has seen this scene. You can go to it. For them, the best way to deal with this matter is to throw the pot directly to the imperial court, whine about the shortage of their troops, and let the imperial court send people to clean up. By the way, they mentioned a lot about asking for recruits and horses. Thinking of this, Mo Shanghua could not help asking a few more questions. The government has already approved the previous plea for recruiting troops and horses. In principle, it's better for us to recruit troops and horses before the inspectors come. When the inspectors come, we'll just cover up the past with a few tricks. Why can't we hear the news of recruiting troops and horses in the near future? It's not so easy. Yan Beiqing's long and narrow phoenix eyes narrowed slightly and pursed into a straight line. The emperor should also have thought of this layer. The military expenditure we used to go to Yuzhou has not been paid down. Even if we want to recruit troops now, this military expenditure will not be paid until the inspectors arrive in Yuzhou. They paid the military expenses for the march in advance. The imperial city promised that they would make up for it later, but now they are not paying it. Naturally, the purpose is obvious. The willow eyebrows on the street were slightly twisted, and the eyebrows were a little cold. The things in the imperial court are really more limited than those in the backyard of this deep house. Leaving Yanbei City, Mo Shanghua is on her way back to the courtyard. The new housekeeper in the mansion runs towards her in a hurry. When she sees her, she seems to see the backbone. Princess is not good. The foreign businessmen who have been robbed in the city are now at the gate of the palace, shouting to let you and the lord come out quickly to give them an explanation. The flower stepped suddenly on the street. Some tired rubbed his eyebrows, said, "General Mo and the lord, aren't they here?" General Mo has tried his best to persuade them outside, but they don't listen at all. "Lord, now the lord is resting again. I dare not disturb him." Speaking of the back, the boy's voice was as light as the mosquitoes, for fear that the flowers on the street were angry. If Yan Beiqing could deal with everything in person, he would be a waste firewood lord. Mo Shanghua knew this in his heart. He thought that he might have gone to investigate the bandits by this reason. And naturally he didn't care much. She nodded, put away the tired color on her face and said, "Come on, take me to have a look." The boy hurried ahead and slowed down to lead the way. At this time, many people gathered at the gate of the palace. Most of the people gathered at the front were dressed in silks and satins, or big-bellied, fat-bellied, or thin and smart. But these people all had something in common, that is, their eyes were full of the businessman's unique shrewd color. And the people around them were also surrounded by circles, chattering and noisy. It's incomparable. Among the people who stand in the front, Wucheng is the one who makes the most trouble. The princess arrived. With the little boy's announcement, there was a little silence around, and everyone's eyes immediately followed the sound and looked to the front door of the palace. Mo Shanghua walks out slowly under the gaze of the people. Mao Guang sweeps past several people in front of the king's house, and his eyes finally settle on Wucheng. Wucheng also stares at the face of Mo Shanghua and looks at it carefully. With a fierce heart, he immediately stands up and yells, "You are the princess of Yuzhou. We are all businessmen from other countries who have been in Yuzhou for a while. Our business here is a symbol of friendship between the two countries. Now our goods and money have been stolen from you, and we are even living here now. You have to give an explanation." Seeing this, Mo Jiang stood in front of Mo Shanghua and said, "Our general has just explained this to you. We have been checking this matter. After we have found out clearly, we will help you recover your goods and money. Now you just need to go back and wait patiently." As a general guarding Yuzhou, he naturally had to do his duty to protect the princess. But Wucheng refused to give in. He said in a bad tone, "Who knows how long you want us to wait? Even if we can wait, can our business wait? Even if we are delayed for a while, we will lose hundreds of silver. Can you afford to pay for it?" After a pause he said, "What's more, Lao Tzu's money has been robbed by robbers. Now he doesn't even have a place to live. How can he spend it with you here?" As soon as his voice fell, a group of wealthy businessmen who were with him all spoke discontentedly. "That is what happened in Yuzhou. You must give an explanation today. We have to give you an explanation, or we won't leave today." "Yes, give me an explanation." Such a group of people with leading faces even said that they would not leave if they didn't give an explanation. Who gave them the advice? The flower on the street frowned slightly, pondered for a while, and said, "Please be calm. I know about your current difficulties, but the bandits suddenly appeared, and there are few clues. It's not easy to find them out quickly. In this way, I immediately sent people to clean up the post house, but all the robbers robbed them. The foreign businessmen who robbed the property can live at will until we find the lost property for you." Aipu. Mo Shanghua's voice just fell. Wu Qing immediately jumped out discontentedly. "What you said is light, then if you can't catch it back then. Even if you catch it back, who will be responsible for the money we delay?" This problem is also the concern of other foreign businessmen. Therefore, when Wu Qing talks about it, the voice of shouting at the bottom becomes higher and higher. "Listen to me, gentlemen." Mo Shanghua cleared her throat, raised her voice and said, "I know your concerns, but you also need to think in another place. If you change into us, what should we do? At present, bandits everywhere in Yuzhou are rampant at this time. This matter is far from as simple as you think. It will take a certain time to trace it." Although Yan Beiqing has speedily delivered the memorial to the imperial city, it will take some time to wait for the reply from the imperial city. For the moment, it is still up to Mo Shanghua to suppress it. Obviously, it didn't work. The voice fell, and the uproar at the bottom didn't stop for half a minute. "Wu Cheng is not polite," snorted, tone more and more bad. "We understand you who will understand us. I don't care our losses. You must be responsible for compensation. Otherwise, I will go back to report this matter to our country officials, at that time, to find you as your emperor." In fact, even if Mo Shanghua really compensated for the loss, he would not stop after he went back. He would definitely report the matter to the officials of the State of the Moon. I'm not sure he could get another compensation. However, this woman he must not let go. He previously lost a lot of money, of course, to a not bad count in her head. Mo Shanghua's eyes suddenly cooled to Wu Cheng, light enunciation. "Don't have to wait for you to return to the Moon Country. The Lord has already written this matter to the Imperial City. Since you want to wait for the Emperor's will, then I can help you." That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.